Chapter 2056. Intense Battle in the Ancient City? Chapter 2056. Intense battle in the ancient city. Lu Ming was sprinting when he suddenly felt his hair stand on end. He felt a sense of danger approaching. He turned around abruptly and pointed his finger behind him. Buzz. The energy of Arichi chaotic finger of tribulation burst out and hit a piece of armor. Clang. The armor shook a little, but it was fine. It did not leave any traces behind. It swayed twice in the air and pounced directly at Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. Bush. Lu Ming repeatedly pointed the finger of tribulation of chaos at Rhe armor, but it was useless. The armor only shook a few times and continued to pounce on Lu Ming. Lu Ming saw that there was blood flowing on the armor. It stretched out toward him like tentacles. Lu Ming activated the chaos laws and the light of chaos to resist. However, when the tentacle touched the chaotic laws and chaotic lights, they started to rock heavily and were torn apart in one breath. Lu Ming's figure retreated rapidly, his hair standing on end. This armor was extremely terrifying. It could not even block the light of chaos. Prison suppression. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The prison-suppressing steel-s bloodline emerged behind him, emitting a brilliant light that suppressed the armor. Chi. When the blood-red tentacles on the armor touched the energy of the prison-suppressing steel, they made a sizzling sound, like ice being thrown into a fire, melting quickly. The blood-red tentacles retracted, and the armor disappeared in a flash. That was close. Lu Ming put away the prison-suppressing steel and heaved a long sigh. The armor was extremely evil. It seemed to have a spirit and was indestructible. It was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming is there. Not far away, a loud roar came from the black-robed middle-aged man and the others, who were chasing after Lu Ming. It was obvious that they had discovered Lu Ming's use of the prison-suppressing steel. The light was too strong. You really don't want to give up. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he dashed in one direction. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived in front of a hall. The door of the hall was left ajar. Lu Ming restrained his aura to the extreme. He approached the door and looked inside. In the courtyard, there had been a skeleton wearing armor. Now, there was another skeleton, but the armor was gone. It's indeed this armor, Lu Ming muttered. Then, the prison-suppressing steel bloodline emerged and floated above his head. Lu Ming rushed toward the skeleton. There was nothing unusual. Lu Ming came to the side of the skeleton. Buzz. At this moment, the door flashed and the armor appeared. It twisted in a very human-like way, as if it was very nervous. Don't come any closer. Otherwise, it'll destroy this skeleton. Lu Ming condensed a large hand with his holy power and grabbed the skeleton. As expected, the armor stopped and did not dare to approach. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It seemed that his guess was right. The armor and the skeleton were one. Or rather, the owner of the armor was the skeleton. Perhaps the skeleton had been very powerful when it was alive, and the powerful energy from its death had nourished the armor, allowing it to gain sentience. However, the armor was still restricted by the skeleton. Once the skeleton was destroyed, the armor would also be affected. Back off, Lu Ming said coldly. The armor twisted a few times, but in the end, it still retreated. Lu Ming revealed a smile. Follow behind me. Don't do anything rash. One can destroy this skeleton with a single thought. Having said that, Lu Ming left the courtyard and headed in one direction. The armor could only follow behind Lu Ming obediently. Come on. Lu Ming sneered. The prison-suppressing steel expanded rapidly and emitted a bright light that could be seen from far away. Then, he put away the prison-suppressing steel and hid the armor in a building, waiting quietly. They didn't have to wait long before a figure flickered in front of them. It was a black-robed middle-aged man, who was leading a group of people over at extreme speed. However, he did not see the other two martial sovereigns. Lu Ming smiled and looked behind him. Two silhouettes approached at top speed from behind. They were the two martial sovereigns who had chased after him. Obviously, the other party was afraid that Lu Ming would run away and attacked him from both sides. Two one-star Void Emperor. Lu Ming revealed a cold smile and stood there without moving. Buzz. In a flash, the black-robed middle-aged man, along with 7 or 8 Emperor-to-be and 2 Void Emperors, surrounded Lu Ming. It seems like that old fellow Gang Demon King really spent a lot of money to kill me. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Lu Ming, although you're a genius, it's a pity that you don't know how to conduct yourself. You even dared to offend the Azure Demon King. Only death awaits you. The black-robed middle-aged man said coldly. Lu Ming was really speechless. Speaking of which, from the beginning to the end, he had never taken the initiative to provoke the Azure Demon King. It was the other party who had been targeting him. First, he was not allowed to participate in the competition. In the end, Lu Ming defeated the ancient devil and slapped him in the face. Did he not ask for it? Such a person could only be described as narrow-minded. If you want to kill me, be careful not to lose your lives here. Lu Ming sneered. Boom. Lu Ming moved and cast destruction. The primal chaos tribulation finger pointed at RHE black-robed man. You're overestimating yourself. The black-robed middle-aged man moved as well. His palm was like a blade as he slashed out. A demonic blade light slashed towards Lu Ming. Boom. Destruction. The finger of tribulation of chaos was shattered after only a few strikes. Lu Ming retreated hastily. But at this moment, the armor rushed out of a building and entangled an Emperor-to-be. The Emperor-to-be let out a shrill scream and his body quickly withered. Kill Lu Ming first. The black-robed middle-aged man roared and charged at Lu Ming. Buzz. Lu Ming dashed into a hall at the side. The black-robed middle-aged burly man and 2 other martial sovereigns rushed into the hall and chased after Lu Ming. Of course, that included the Emperor-to-be. The palace was huge, but it was empty. There was not a single living being in it. Lu Ming rushed into the hall and headed deep into the hall. Ah! Behind them, another shrill scream was heard. The armor swallowed one Emperor-to-be and then entangled another. Moreover, as the armor devoured the Emperor-to-be, it seemed to become stronger and stronger. In the beginning, it would take several breaths to devour an Emperor-to-be, but now it only took 1 breath. Damn it! The black-robed middle-aged man roared. If this went on, the Emperor-to-be W2'd be devoured. You too, continue chasing. I'll go block that armor. The black-robed middle-aged man roared and turned around to attack the armor. By the time he arrived, another Emperor-to-be had been swallowed by the armor. In just a short while, 3 Emperor-to-be had already been devoured by the armor. The black-robed middle-aged man was furious. He attacked with all his might. However, the armor didn't fight with him at all. It flickered a few times and escaped. The remaining 5 Emperor-to-be's faces were pale and bloodless. Next, follow me closely, the black-robed man said. Chapter 2057. Devouring the Void Emperor. Chapter 2057. Devouring the Void Emperor. The black-robed middle-aged man led RHE remaining 5 Emperors-to-be in pursuit of Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming and the 2 illusionary thearchs had already rushed out of RG Hall and ran a long distance away. Lu Ming died. Well, give you a quick death. You've offended RHE Azure Demon King. Your fate is already decided. The 2 Void thearchs continued to shout coldly, provoking Lu Ming. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He wandered around the winding streets. After running for a while, Lu Ming suddenly stopped and sneered, "You want to kill me? Come." 11 bang. Bang. Lu Ming took a few steps forward and charged towards the 2 Void thearchs. The 2 illusionary thearchs were stunned. They did not understand why Lu Ming had suddenly stopped running. However, Lu Ming stopping was exactly what they wanted. Kill. 11. The 2 Void thearchs charged towards Lu Ming. However, at this moment, RHE armor rushed out of a building on the side and pounced on one of RHE Void Emperors. The Void the Arch was shocked and quickly changed the direction of his attack, bombarding the armor. However, the armor was sturdy and immortal. It only trembled slightly before it continued to charge at RHE Void Emperor. Tentacles emerged from the armor and wrapped around the other party. Chaos Finger. Lu Ming, on the other hand, cast the chaotic finger of tribulation with all his might and charged at the other Void Emperor. Given Lu Ming's current combat strength, the illusionary divine did not dare to be careless. He also unleashed his full strength and attacked Lu Ming. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming and the illusionary the Arch exchanged 2 blows. Although he was at a disadvantage, he was blocked by the illusionary the Arch. Lu Ming had once fought against the He family's illusionary emperor. However, the He family's illusionary emperor had just broken through to the 1-star illusionary emperor realm not long ago. His combat strength was not as strong as the person in front of him, but it was not too far off. Although Lu Ming was no match for him, he was a threat to the other party. Lu Ming's back glowed and the 3rd bloodline appeared. Lu Ming had borrowed a par of the 3rd bloodline's power. However, Lu Ming was very careful. He did nor dare to borrow too much and only borrowed the part that he could control. Even so, Lu Ming's abilities had increased greatly. And NBSP whoosh, Lu Ming continued to use the Chaos Finger of Tribulation. After borrowing the power of his 3rd bloodline, Lu Ming's strength increased greatly. He could finally fight his opponent head-on and not be at a disadvantage. Lu Ming was holding one of them back, while Archie other Void Emperor was in danger. The power of the armor had indeed increased greatly after devouring several Emperor-to-be experts. The armor was already very terrifying. It could nor even block Lu Ming's Light of Chaos. And now, the power of the armor had increased greatly. In addition to Lu Ming's threat, it exploded with a terrifying power. The Emperor-to-be's attacks kept hitting the armor, but it was useless. The armor kept getting closer and closer, and the blood-red tentacles reached out and broke the defense of the opponent. A blood-red tentacle wrapped itself around the Void Emperor and began to devour him. Get lost! The Void Emperor roared in fear and struggled with all his might, but it was useless. The armor wrapped around him tighter and tighter, like an octopus. It wrapped around him tightly and began to devour him. Arg! Save me, quickly save me! 11 The Void the Arch screamed and twisted his body frantically. However, it was all in vain. He felt that everything in his body had been devoured by the armor. His body was rapidly shriveling. The other illusionary the Arch was shocked and wanted to save him, but he was held back by Lu Ming. At this moment, the black-robed middle-aged man finally arrived with his men. However, by the time he arrived, the Void Emperor, who had been bound by the armor, was already beyond saving. His body had completely shriveled up and turned into a skeleton. His essence, chi, and spirit had disappeared without a trace. On the armor, a layer of bright red light spread out, as if there was blood flowing on it. Buzz! The armor moved and pounced directly at the illusionary divine who was fighting Lu Ming. Get lost! The Void Emperor launched an attack in an attempt to break through the armor and escape. However, Lu Ming would not give him the chance to do so. He pointed his finger at the man's chest, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood and be severely injured. The armor wrapped itself around him and its tentacles wrapped around him, starting to devour him. Help! 11 The Void Emperor cried out in horror. The black-robed middle-aged man's face turned pale with fear. If even a 1-star Void Emperor could not put up any resistance, then he, a 2-star Void Emperor, would probably not be able to do so. Let's go! The black-robed middle-aged man turned around and left without hesitation. This ancient city was too strange. If he stayed any longer, he would probably lose his life. The 5 Emperor-to-be followed the black-robed middle-aged man and rushed toward the gate of the city. They didn't want to stay in this ancient city for a second longer. The Void Emperor, who was entangled by the armor, let out a desperate roar. Not long after, he was completely devoured by the armor and turned into a skeleton. After devouring 2 Void Thearchs in a row, the armor emitted a piercing blood-red light. It was extremely terrifying. The armor seemed to be staring at Lu Ming and was wandering around him. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. The prison-suppressing steel was suspended in the air. At the same time, he grabbed the skeleton and stared at the armor. The armor flew a few rounds. It seemed to be afraid that Lu Ming would destroy the bones. Moreover, it was also very afraid of the prison-suppressing steel. In the end, it retreated a distance away from Lu Ming. Chase! Lu Ming muttered and chased after the black-robed middle-aged man and the rest, the armor following behind him. However, when Lu Ming rushed to the ancient city's gate, he realized that the middle-aged man in the black robe and the rest had already rushed out of the city and into the demon spirit army. They were trying to break out of the siege. Buzz. Lu Ming had also rushed out of the city, but the armor remained in the city. It seemed that it could not leave the city. No matter how Lu Ming threatened it, it was useless. Lu Ming sighed in regret and could only retreat back out of the city. Not long after, the black-robed middle-aged man broke out of the demon spirit's encirclement. However, he did not go far away. Instead, he stood guard. His expression was extremely unsightly. This time, they had really suffered heavy losses. After entering RH ancient city, not only had 4 emperor-to-be died, but 2 void emperors had also died inside. An emperor-to-be couldn't compare to an emperor-to-be. An emperor-to-be was already a martial emperor. Perhaps only 1 out of 100 emperor-to-be could break through to the martial emperor realm. Send a message to the Azure Demon King. Well, wait here. It seems that the armor won't come out. The black-robed middle-aged man said coldly. Without the armor, Lu Ming did not take it to heart. Lu Ming observed the city for a while and noticed that the black-robed middle-aged man was standing guard outside the city. He could not help but frown. The black-robed middle-aged burly man was a 2-star void emperor. Even if he borrowed the power of the 3rd bloodline, he would not be able to break out. Let's take a look at this ancient city and see if there are any other forces that we can borrow. Or perhaps, there are other city gates that we can use to head outside. Lu Ming pondered, then turned around and headed into the ancient city. This ancient city was too large, vast and boundless. With the no-fly zone, flying was not allowed, so it would take a lot of time to run. Lu Ming explored more than 10 buildings in the city, but he did not find anything. There was nothing strange about it. This ancient city seemed to have nothing else other than the armor and the skeleton in Lu Ming's hands. Chapter 2058. The Creatures in the Ancient City? Chapter 2058. The creatures in the ancient city. To Lu Ming's disappointment, he came to the left and right sides of the ancient city, but he could not see the city gates. There were only tall and majestic city walls. There seemed to be a force on the city walls that prevented him from going up. In other words, it was impossible to get out of the city wall. This ancient city can't only have 1 city gate, right? Lu Ming was speechless. Most large cities would not have only 1 gate. Even if they had fewer, they would have at least 2. Normally, there were 4, 8, or even more. Perhaps there's a city gate in the depths of the ancient city, in the direction of the city gate. Lu Ming pondered. He planned to enter the depths of the ancient city and pass through it. Just as Lu Ming was about to set off to the depths of the ancient city, some figures descended outside the ancient city. One of them had 8 people, 4 of whom were martial sovereigns. The one leading them was an old man, who was the Azure Demon King. The Azure Demon King held immense power in the Eternal Devil Nation. He was of the same generation as the Eternal Emperor and was a peak true emperor. He was highly regarded by the Eternal Emperor, and many people in the Eternal Devil Nation would give him face. They had only killed Lu Ming, a junior. Moreover, the Azure Demon King had promised a generous reward. Naturally, many people followed the Azure Demon King to kill Lu Ming. What's going on? The Azure Demon King arrived and swept his cold gaze across the black-robed middle-aged man. It's like this. The black-robed middle-aged man trembled as he explained the situation in the ancient city. An armor? A glint flashed in the Azure Demon King's eyes, followed by a cold killing intent. They had lost so many experts because of Lu Ming. Lu Ming deserved to die. Those above the rank of Marshal Supreme, follow me. The rest of you, stay outside. The Azure Demon King instructed before flying into the ancient city. The Azure Demon King was an expert at the peak of the true Emperor realm. He was too strong. In the hands of the Azure Demon King, those demonic spirits were like ants. With a single palm strike, a large number of demonic spirits were destroyed. They easily charged through the demon spirit army and into the ancient city. Split up into groups of 2 and look for Lu Ming. Once you find him, send out the news immediately. The Azure Demon King said. The people who had come with the Azure Demon King this time were no small matter. There were a total of 3 people. One of them was a true emperor, and the other 2 were Void Emperors. However, they were all 5-star Void Emperors and above. Their strength was much stronger than that of the black-robed middle-aged man. The black-robed middle-aged man followed the true emperor to the right. The 2 powerful Void Thearchs went to the left, while the Azure Demon King went to the middle, searching for Lu Ming inch by inch. At this moment, Lu Ming had already passed through the center of the ancient city and was heading deeper into the city. In contrast to the direction of the city gate, this side was indeed the depths of the ancient city. When Lu Ming arrived at the depths of the ancient city, he felt a little creeped out. He kept having a sense of danger. The buildings here are more majestic. They look like small castles. Lu Ming sized up his surroundings. The buildings here were indeed more majestic. They were pitch black and filled with the aura of time. Lu Ming moved forward carefully. The armor was following him closely. Thump. Suddenly, a building in front of them started to shake. Lu Ming was shocked and stopped. Thump. Then, the building started to shake again, as if a giant beast was attacking the castle. After a few vibrations, the sound disappeared again. Lu Ming frowned. He activated the divine breath technique and restrained his aura to the extreme. Then, he continued to move forward. When Lu Ming passed by the building, there was a loud roar from the building. Then the sound of iron chains clashing could be heard. The next moment, Lu Ming saw a claw reaching out from the building. This claw was like the claw of a wild beast. It was covered in black scales, and there were black chains wrapped around the claw. The claw was as big as a house and it grabbed at Lu Ming, exuding a terrifying aura. Lu Ming was shocked and he retreated rapidly. However, the claw suddenly expanded and became longer and bigger at an alarming speed. It grabbed at Lu Ming at an alarming speed. Seeing that Lu Ming was about to be caught, Lu Ming controlled the prison-suppressing steel. The prison-suppressing steel glowed and shot towards the claw. Chi-chi-chi. The claw was covered by the light of the prison-guarding steel, making a sizzling sound and black smoke. Another loud roar came from the building as the claw retracted. Lu Ming retreated continuously. After he had retreated a certain distance, he heaved a long sigh of relief. Lu Ming was shocked to find that there were living creatures in the building. It looked as if it was locked. This ancient city seemed to have existed for countless years. Why were there still living beings here? Could it be that the creature in the building was locked up by the original owner of the ancient city? However, to be able to survive for so long without dying, it was definitely extremely powerful. Let's change the direction. Lu Ming left the place and walked to the right for a while before he continued to move forward. In front of them, there were still many huge buildings. Lu Ming carefully passed through some buildings, but he did not discover anything unusual. It seemed that not every building had living creatures. Even if there were, it was possible that they had already died after such a long time. There were not many who could have survived. However, Lu Ming's good luck did not last long. With a roar, a claw stretched out from a building. This claw was even bigger than the previous one. It was covered with black scales and had long nails, like the claw of a demon. Lu Ming blocked the attack with the prison-suppressing steel and retreated quickly. Fortunately, the prison-guarding steel had a strong restraining effect on this kind of claw. As soon as the claw came into contact with the light of the prison-guarding steel, it quickly retreated back into the building. Lu Ming retreated a distance and wandered around the area. It seemed that all the buildings in this area had those terrifying creatures. He didn't know which ones had it and which ones didn't. Even with the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline, it would not be safe for him to force his way through. Lu Ming pondered. At this moment, a few figures were rushing in Lu Ming's direction at top speed. When the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline glowed, he was discovered even though he was far away. Gang Demon King and the others rushed towards Lu Ming at top speed, with him being the fastest. Although he was a peak true emperor and was forbidden from flying in the ancient city, his speed was still shocking. Just as Lu Ming was hesitating whether he should charge in, he suddenly had a bad feeling. He looked behind him and saw a figure flashing toward him at high speed. In an instant, the figure appeared not far from Lu Ming. Demon King Tsang. Lu Ming's pupils contracted rapidly. Lu Ming die. The Azure Demon King launched an attack on Lu Ming. Block it. Lu Ming shouted and the armor charged at the Azure Demon King. Boom! The Azure Demon King was so powerful that he sent the armor flying. While he was calling for the armor to take action, Lu Ming had already rushed into the depths of the ancient city. Chapter 2059. Chapter 2058. Pursuit. Chapter 2059. Chapter 2058. Pursuit. In the face of an expert like the Azure Demon King, only death awaited them if they rushed out. Only by rushing in would they have a chance of survival. Kill! The Ashen Demon King bellowed as he chased after Lu Ming, but the armor had caught up to him again. The armor was covered in rust, but it was now emitting a thick blood-red light. Tentacles stretched out and wrapped around the Azure Demon King. Boom! The Azure Demon King punched out, and the terrifying force of his fist sent the armor flying far away. However, the material of the armor was indeed extraordinary and indestructible. It wasn't shattered by the Azure Demon King. After the armor was knocked away, it flew back towards the Ashen Demon King. Looking at Lu Ming heading deeper into the ancient city, the Azure Demon King's face was filled with anger. At the same time, the other 4 people had also arrived. You guys go after Lu Ming, the Ashen Demon King said coldly. The other 4 nodded and chased into the depths of the ancient city. The Azure Demon King's cold eyes stared at the armor, and a layer of black flames spread out from his body. This was a type of demonic fire. It was extremely terrifying and had an astonishingly high temperature. He pressed down with one hand, and demonic fire surged out, enveloping the armor. After all, Song Demon King was a peak true Emperor expert. Although the material of his armor was sturdy and immortal, the energy it contained wasn't high. How could he be a match for Song Demon King? After being enveloped by the demonic flames, the armor let out a sizzling sound. The bright red blood was quickly refined by the demonic flames. Not long after, the armor fell to the ground with a clang, as if it had become a pile of scrap iron. In the armor, not only was the blood refined, but everything else was also refined, including the only trace of the imprint. It disappeared without a trace, completely turning into a pile of scrap iron. Lu Ming, who was running, was startled. The skeleton in his hand turned into ashes with a bang. Lu Ming knew that the armor would not be able to stop the Azure Demon King. He was at the peak of the true Emperor realm and was only one step away from becoming a great emperor. His combat strength was too strong. Buzz! And NBSP whoosh! Behind him, 4 figures were chasing after Lu Ming at an alarming speed. They were the 4 martial emperor powerhouses. One of them was covered in world divine light. He was clearly a true emperor. This true emperor was the fastest. He chased after Lu Ming as fast as lightning. At this moment, a loud roar came from a huge building. A huge claw reached out from the building and grabbed at Lu Ming. Let's go all out. Lu Ming did not stop and continued to rush inside. At the same time, he controlled the prison-suppressing steel bloodline and made it float above his head. The bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel glowed brightly. As soon as the huge claw got close to the prison-suppressing steel, it quickly retracted as if it was burned by fire. Lu Ming successfully rushed past the building and continued to venture deeper. In just a few breaths, the true emperor caught up. The true emperor had naturally seen the huge claw just now. At this moment, the power of the world circulated through his entire body, and he was on full alert. Sure enough, as soon as the true emperor got close, the claw stretched out and turned into the size of a house. What the hell is this? Die! The true emperor shouted coldly. The power of his world burst forth and turned into a battle axe that slashed down. Boom! The battle axe struck the giant palm, but the palm only trembled a little and was completely fine. It only left a shallow mark on the scales. On the other hand, the true emperor's body swayed and he took a few steps back. There seemed to be a terrifying demon in the building. It roared continuously and clawed at the true emperor again. He extended his arm. It was an arm covered in black scales and wrapped in black chains. It made clanking sounds as it grabbed at the true emperor. It was as if a world was floating out of the true emperor's body. In an instant, several colors of light fused together and unleashed a terrifying attack. This was the combined use of several laws, and its power was very terrifying. Compared to Lu Ming, who was only at the initial stage of the fusion of two types of laws, it was many times stronger. At the martial emperor realm, one could cultivate many types of laws. They could even merge with each other and have extremely shocking power. Boom. The true emperor's attack clashed with the giant claw. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of metal chains clashing could be heard. The giant claw was blocked, but the true emperor was also blocked. He couldn't rush over. This creature is locked inside and can't come out. Oh, stop it. You guys rush over and kill Lu Ming. The true emperor opened his mouth and launched another attack. He fought against the huge hand and entangled it. The other three people's faces were grave. They went around the area and rushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming continued to venture deeper. He passed by more than 10 huge buildings and there was nothing unusual. Thump, thump. Just as Lu Ming continued to run, a loud boom came from a building in front of him. A large hand grabbed at Lu Ming. Not only was this huge hand covered in thick scales, but it also carried a terrifying cold current as it swept towards Lu Ming. Even though he was very far away, Lu Ming felt as if he was going to be frozen. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and continued to bombard the prison-suppressing steel with his bloodline. Fortunately, the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel could still restrain the other party. The big hand reached back and Lu Ming rushed past it. Behind him, the black-robed middle-aged man and the other two had very serious expressions. They were not true emperors. They did not dare to charge forward. They went around the building and chased after Lu Ming. However, they weren't so lucky. Not long after they went around, a claw reached out from another building and grabbed them. Not good, retreat. One of them had a huge change in expression as he frantically retreated. The other two's expressions also changed, and they also retreated. But it was too late. The black-robed middle-aged man had the weakest cultivation. He was only a 2-star Void Emperor, and he was immediately caught. He let out a shrill scream and tried to break free, but it was no use. The big hand clenched, and the black-robed middle-aged man's bone armor burst with a crackling sound, making him spit out a large mouthful of blood. He no longer had the strength to struggle. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and fear. He had come in to kill Lu Ming for the reward. The generous reward could even help him survive the next great calamity. But now he would die here. After the big hand grabbed the black-robed middle-aged man, it stretched back. Then, the building was filled with shrill screams and the sound of chewing. The other two Void Thearchs felt a chill run down their spines. Even with their cultivation bases, they were breaking out in cold sweat. It was obvious that the black-robed middle-aged man had been eaten by the creature in the building. The two of them didn't dare to move forward and stopped there. Get lost, you bunch of trash. At this moment, the Azure Demon King rushed over and punched out at the true Emperor's claw. Terrifying demonic fire burned and the claw was thrown off. The scales on the claw flew and fell off. The battle power of a peak true emperor was not to be underestimated. It was much stronger than a normal true emperor. Slash. Then, the Ashen Demon King's hand slashed down like a blade. Endless demonic fire turned into a demonic blade and cut the claw off. Chapter 2060. Chapter 2060, Death Before Rebirth. Chapter 2060. Chapter 2060, Death Before Rebirth. The strength of the Azure Demon King was truly terrifying. He was a peak true emperor. Although the living being in the building was strong, it had definitely been suppressed for countless years and didn't have much fighting power left. The Azure Demon King's demonic saber slashed down, and that huge arm was chopped off. Within the building, a living being roared. The chains clanged and the building rumbled as if a giant beast was about to charge out, but in the end, it didn't. The Ashen Demon King dashed past him, chasing after Lu Ming. Up ahead, Lu Ming's expression was grave. The living beings in these buildings could not stop the Azure Demon King at all. He had to speed up. Lu Ming exerted all his strength and rushed forward at top speed. Not long after, another creature roared from another building. This time, it was a large flame that spewed out from the building. Lu Ming blocked it with the prison-suppressing steel bloodline and rushed past it. Following that, Lu Ming came across a few buildings that had living creatures, but he used the prison-suppressing steel to charge through them. Behind him, Song Demon King was chasing after Lu Ming at an alarming speed. If not for the creatures that obstructed him along the way, he would have caught up to Lu Ming long ago. What do we do? Lu Ming was rapidly thinking of countermeasures in his mind. Now that Celestial Emperor's corporeal body was out of his control, with his own cultivation base, facing the Azure Demon King was a dead end. However, other than the Celestial Emperor's corporeal body, he had no other treasures on him that could resist the Song Demon King. After that, Lu Ming crossed a long distance. There were no buildings in front of him, only some low rocks. Lu Ming did not stop. He could only continue to rush forward. Now, he could only try his luck and hope that there was something up ahead that could stop the Azure Demon King. Buzz! Lu Ming was like a fleeting shadow, his speed shocking as he rushed forward. Behind him, the Azure Demon King continued to pass through buildings and soon arrived at the low rocky area. However, Lu Ming, who was in front, suddenly stopped. That was because there was no road ahead. There was a lake that blocked their way. This was a lava lake. It was extremely vast, completely blocking the path ahead, and exuded a terrifying temperature. This was definitely not ordinary lava. Lu Ming felt a sense of danger. Kid, why aren't you running anymore? The Azure Demon King caught up and stopped not far away. He looked at Lu Ming with a faint teasing look. Old man, you're too narrow-minded. You've lost your own face, but you want to blame it on me. As Lu Ming spoke, he was thinking of countermeasures in his mind. Even if he was in a desperate situation, Lu Ming would not give up. It's not a good thing for young people to be in the limelight. The Ashen Demon King said coldly as he walked towards Lu Ming. In his opinion, Lu Ming should not have made a move and sat quietly. How could he embarrass himself in public? Boy, you must have had a lot of fortuitous encounters to reach this stage. Give me everything you have, including some ancient scriptures, and I may let you live. The Azure Demon King laughed coldly. Lu Ming pursed his lips. It would be strange if this old fellow would let him go. Even if he gave him everything, the other party would still kill him and not spare him. What can I do to make you believe me? Lu Ming said. In the current situation, you have to believe it even if you don't want to. The Azure Demon King said coldly. Kill those 3 guys and I'll give it to you. I'll give you all the opportunities I've obtained. Lu Ming looked behind the Ashen Demon King. Behind him, the other 3 experts had followed the Azure Demon King's path to this place. Hearing this, the 3 of them couldn't help but stop, their faces turning pale. The Azure Demon King was cruel and merciless. He might really do so. Brat, you don't have the right to bargain with me now. If you don't hand it over, he'll cripple you right now and then slowly interrogate you to see if you'll hand it over or not. A cold, killing intent burst out from the Azure Demon King's body as terrifying demonic flames spread out. Buzz. At this moment, Lu Ming moved. He took a step forward and his body leaped towards the lava lake. Now, he could only rely on the lava lake to take a gamble. You want to escape? The Ashen Demon King bellowed as he struck out with his palm. Demonic flames filled the sky and enveloped Lu Ming. The demonic flame was like a bolt of lightning. It was astonishingly fast and caught up to Lu Ming in an instant, enveloping him within. Lu Ming let out a beast-like roar. It was too painful. It was too painful to be enveloped by the demonic fire. Lu Ming felt as if his body was about to be burnt. Lu Ming manically circulated his saint energy and covered his body. At the same time, he controlled the law of chaos and the light of chaos to cover the surface of his body and resist the attack of the demonic fire. However, this demonic fire was released by the Azure Demon King. The Peak True Emperor was too terrifying. All of Lu Ming's defenses were burned through in an instant. Plop. At this moment, Lu Ming fell into the lava lake and disappeared. As soon as he entered the lava lake, Lu Ming mustered his remaining strength and frantically rushed down the lava lake. You want to leave? Impossible. The Azure Demon King's expression was extremely cold. He rushed into the lava lake and chased after Lu Ming. Boom, boom. The Azure Demon King waved his palms, stirring up the surrounding lava. A few terrifying demonic flames broke through the lava and blasted toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming could not dodge at all and was hit by a few more demonic flames. The terrifying temperature of the demonic flames burned through Lu Ming's defenses, and a heart-piercing pain spread throughout his body. Even with Lu Ming's current spirit body, he could not withstand it at all. He seemed to feel that his physical body was turning into ashes bit by bit. However, Lu Ming still did not give up. He was charging down crazily. The temperature at the bottom of the lava lake was shockingly high. The further down he went, the higher the temperature became. There was also a terrifying pressure that pressed on Lu Ming from all directions. Lu Ming was completely unable to withstand the dual burning of the Azure Demon King's demonic flames and the magma. His body was slowly burning to ashes. Lu Ming could feel that the flesh and blood on his body were disappearing, and even his bone armor was exposed. However, Lu Ming continued to descend at an astonishing speed because the Azure Demon King was still in pursuit. Boom! Song Emo struck out with his palm again. However, the pressure of the lava here was already shocking. Although Tsang Demon King's palm force had broken through the lava, it had been partially offset and only a part of it landed on Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming's hands and feet had turned into ashes in the demonic fire. Only his body was still struggling to hold on as he continued to fall. However, the Azure Demon King didn't give up on his pursuit. The two of them kept going down. Along the way, the Azure Demon King launched a few more attacks, but because of the lava, most of the power was blocked. At this moment, they had already dived down a distance of several thousand meters. At this point, the temperature was already extremely terrifying. Even the Azure Demon King felt a sense of danger. It was as if there was something below that could threaten his safety. This kid is dead for sure. The Azure Demon King snorted. Chapter 2061, Merging the Saint Heart and Reforging the Body. Chapter 2061, Merging the Saint Heart and Reforging the Body. The Azure Demon King was certain that Lu Ming was dead. His demonic flames alone were not something that Lu Ming could withstand. Under his demonic flames, Lu Ming would be reduced to ashes. In addition, they were under the magma lake. The magma here was something that even he was afraid of. Not only was the temperature astonishingly high, but the pressure was also very shocking. Lu Ming would be dead for sure if it was any one of the two, let alone when they were combined. Lu Ming had no chance at all. At this moment, not only were Lu Ming's 4 limbs burned to ashes in the flames, but the rest of his body was also about to turn into ashes. The Azure Demon King laughed coldly as he shot towards the lava. Although he did not obtain any opportunities from Lu Ming, it was not bad to be able to kill him. In the blink of an eye, the Azure Demon King had rushed up the lava lake and flew above the darkness. "How's that kid?" someone asked. "We're dead. Let's go. Well, explore this ancient city and leave," the Ashen Demon King said. With a flash of his silhouette, he left the place, and the other 3 followed. At this moment, Lu Ming had indeed encountered the greatest crisis in his life. At this moment, his physical body was about to be completely turned into ashes. The most important thing was that he could no longer mobilize his strength and could not charge forward. His body was completely covered in demonic fire. It was a peak true Emperor demonic fire that wouldn't be extinguished until it burned its target to ashes. Chi. Lu Ming could clearly feel that his physical body was collapsing, disintegrating, and being burned to ashes. There were 3 wisps of chaotic chi in his body. At this moment, 3 wisps of chaotic chi slithered like 3 small snakes and then rushed into one of the Saint Hearts. Enter the Saint Heart. Lu Ming used his soul power to move the Dian Elixir Furnace and the mountain and river diagram into another Saint Heart. Then, Lu Ming's soul also rushed into another Saint Heart. As long as the soul was not destroyed, there was always hope of resurrection. In just a few breaths, Lu Ming's body was completely burned into ashes by the demonic fire. He disappeared without a trace, leaving only 2 Saint Hearts floating there. After the demonic flame burned Lu Ming's body to ashes, it seemed to have lost its target and finally disappeared. Not good. In the Saint Heart, Lu Ming's soul could still sense everything outside. At that moment, he realized that the lava outside was squeezing his two saint hearts. The two saint hearts collided with each other. The lava outside wrapped around the two saint hearts and pressed on them, as if it was going to crush them. The terrifying temperature in the lava was also constantly burning them, as if it was going to melt them. Lu Ming was worried. If his two saint hearts were melted, he would have no chance at all. Qiu Yue. Lu Ming muttered and glanced at the Dian elixir furnace floating in the saint heart. If his saint heart had been broken, leaving the Dian elixir furnace here, he was afraid that it would not have been able to withstand the terrible heat outside. Although the Dian elixir furnace was wonderful, it was also dangerous in such an environment for a long time. The original purpose of this trip was to save Qiuyu, but before she could wake up, she was in danger. Buzz. At this moment, his two saint hearts trembled, and one of their outer corners shattered. Boom. Lu Ming's soul trembled violently when a corner of his saint heart crumbled. It was as if a terrifying flame had enveloped his soul. Could it be that I'm really going to die here today? A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. At this moment, he felt the aura of death. His soul trembled and his consciousness was blurry. In the end, his vision turned black and he did not know anything. Only his two saint hearts were being pressed by the terrifying lava. However, a strange scene happened. The parts of the two saint hearts that had crumbled did not dissipate into nothingness. Instead, they stuck together and flew back into the saint hearts. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. As the lava pressed and burned, more and more of the two saint hearts crumbled, but the fragments and powder fused back together and flew back to the two saint hearts. It was as if the two saint hearts were about to merge together. Of course, Lu Ming had no idea about all this. Following that, his saint heart continued to shatter and then merge back together. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. 3 days ago, he had two saint hearts, but this time, he had only one. It became a bigger saint heart. Buzz. When the two saint hearts became one, there was a wonderful fluctuation. Then, the bigger saint heart started to spin rapidly. At this moment, a strange power was produced in the saint heart. The energy in the surrounding lava was constantly gathering toward Lu Ming. A few days passed just like that. A wonderful scene appeared. With the saint heart as the center, the outline of a body appeared. This was just an outline, not a real entity, made of energy. When the outline of the body appeared, 3 wisps of chaotic chi flew out of his saint heart and swam around the outline of the body. At the same time, the energy in the magma continued to gather and pour into the saint heart. Then, it spread out from the saint heart and poured into the outline of the body. The outline of his body was slowly becoming more and more solid. Reforging his body. He was reforging his fleshly body. When the two saint hearts merged into one, they were actually reforging their bodies on their own. Moreover, they were reforging their bodies with the energy in the lava. The process of reforging the body was very slow. Just like that, 3 whole months passed. In the lava, an intact body appeared. This physical body was Lu Ming's. However, this body was a little different from the previous one. There was a fiery red color on his skin, like a burning flame. The curves of his body were perfect, but he seemed to be filled with explosive power. The 3 wisps of chaotic chi had also fused perfectly with his body. At this moment, the Buddha's fingers moved, and it slowly opened its eyes. This is... Lu Ming looked around in surprise. Finally, he looked at his own body and was very shocked. He remembered clearly that he had been attacked by the Tsang Demon King and his body had been reduced to ashes in the demonic fire. Even his saint heart had been crushed by the lava, his soul had been shaken, and his consciousness had fallen into darkness. He didn't expect to find his body still there when he woke up. No, this body is a little different from before. The next moment, Lu Ming felt something strange. He realized that although this body was also made of flesh and blood, it was much stronger than before. The 3 strands of chaotic chi had perfectly fused together and were filled with explosive power. At the same time, this body seemed to be unafraid of the surrounding lava. It was as if he was one with the surrounding lava and the surrounding lava was ineffective against him. It was not that Lu Ming's physical body was so powerful that he was not afraid of the magma's temperature. It was because his physical body was reforged by the energy here. They had the same energy, so he was not afraid. If it was any other force of the same level, Lu Ming would definitely not be able to withstand it. Chapter 2062. Chapter 2062, Law Fusion. Chapter 2062. Chapter 2062 Law Fusion. My fleshly body has been reforged. Lu Ming pondered for a while and discovered the problem. He could not help but be overjoyed. Although he didn't understand how his physical body was reforged, it was a good thing. No, my saint heart. At this moment, Lu Ming finally realized that something was wrong with his saint heart. There had been 2 saint hearts before, but now it had become one. It was just that this saint heart was larger. Could it be that the 2 saint hearts have fused together? Lu Ming guessed and was extremely surprised. He had never thought that the 2 saint hearts cultivated by the twin forbidden spell could actually merge together. Moreover, Lu Ming realized that not only had he reforged his physical body, but his cultivation had also improved. He had reached the perfected absolute saint realm. Not only that, but Lu Ming also realized that after the 2 saint hearts had merged, his 2 types of laws had also completely merged together. Previously, the array Dao laws and chaos laws were only at the initial stage of fusion. Now, they were completely fused. The complete fusion of the 2 laws will definitely increase the power. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with surprise. This time, it was really a blessing in disguise. Not only did he not die, but he had also made a breakthrough in his cultivation. His physical strength had also increased greatly, and the 2 types of nomological laws had fused. He had heard that martial emperor powerhouses had to take this step. Martial sovereigns had to comprehend different laws before they could merge them together. He was already doing what a martial emperor would do. If the Azure Demon King knew about this, he would probably be angered to death. Lu Ming's lips curled into a faint smile. Then, with a thought, the mountain and river diagram and the Dian elixir furnace returned to his consciousness. The prison-suppressing steel bloodline and the 3rd bloodline are still there. Lu Ming sensed the prison-suppressing steel bloodline and the 3rd bloodline. He was surprised to find that they were still there. He had never been able to understand these 2 bloodlines, but he felt that they were very wondrous. This time, even his physical body was destroyed. After reforging, the 2 bloodlines were still there. This was really hard to explain. It was extremely mysterious. However, this was a good thing for Lu Ming. I don't know how long it has been, but the energy here is very abundant. I can let Celestial Emperor's corporeal body absorb the energy here. At the thought of this, Lu Ming had an idea. The Celestial Thearch's physical body appeared from the mountain and river diagram. Then, Lu Ming activated his cultivation technique and began to control the Celestial Thearch's body to absorb the surrounding energy. The Celestial Emperor's corporeal body was like a black hole, frantically absorbing the energy from the outside. The Celestial Emperor's corporeal body absorbed a large amount of flame energy from the lava. Not long after, with Celestial Emperor's body as the center, all the energy in the lava was absorbed, and it turned into rock. Lu Ming could only change the location and continue to absorb. The amount of energy required by Celestial Emperor's corporeal body was simply too much. It was incomparably shocking. Back then, Lu Ming had spent more than half a year. During that half a year, he had been constantly fighting against the evil god race. Every time he killed the evil god race, he would give the crystals that the evil god race had brought along to the Celestial Thearch's body to absorb. During that half a year, Lu Ming had killed countless evil god tribesmen and allowed the Celestial Thearch's body to absorb countless crystals and energy. In the end, the energy in the Celestial Thearch's body had only accumulated to 12%. Moreover, the more the energy of the Celestial Emperor's corporeal body was accumulated, the more difficult it would be to improve. The amount of energy required would be even more shocking. Just like that, Lu Ming continued to absorb energy under the lava. A large area of lava turned into rocks. 2 days later, the energy in the Celestial Thearch's physical body increased to 8%. This was because the Celestial Thearch's physical body had already stored a portion of energy. 8% isn't enough. I need at least 10% and above. The higher the temperature is under the magma, the more I can absorb it. Lu Ming had an idea and then went down. As long as he could store more than 10% of the energy in his body, Lu Ming would be able to control it. By then, he would be able to fight against a great emperor. The chances of obtaining the eternal demonic coffin would be greatly increased. Also, the Azure Demon King. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold, murderous intent. He had to kill the Azure Demon King. Lu Ming rushed to the bottom of the lava lake. The temperature at the bottom of the lava lake was shockingly high. Even the Azure Demon King had to retreat, which showed how shocking it was. Even though Lu Ming's current physical body was reforged by the energy of the magma lake, he did not dare to go too deep. Otherwise, he would be turned into ashes. Lu Ming did not want to experience the feeling of being turned into ashes again. This time, he was lucky to have his body reforged. Next time, he might not be so lucky. This is the place. After diving for a while, Lu Ming felt a terrifying pressure and stopped. He controlled the celestial Thearch's body and began to absorb energy. The energy here was indeed much more abundant. When he had finished absorbing the energy nearby, Lu Ming moved to another place and continued to absorb. Of course, it was just a shift in skill level. Lu Ming did not dare to continue. A few more days passed, and the energy in Celestial Emperor's corporeal body skyrocketed, reaching an astonishing 16%. It was 4% more than the last time. Enough! Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. 16% of the energy was absolutely shocking. If he were to fight the great emperor of the He clan again with this kind of energy, he would definitely beat him into a pig's head. Lu Ming decided to leave this place. Most importantly, the energy above the lava lake had almost been completely absorbed by Lu Ming. The temperature was too high if he continued to go down. Lu Ming did not dare to go down. Furthermore, he had no idea how long he had been here. How were the ancient emperor and the others doing? Did they find the ancient demonic coffin? Lu Ming kept the celestial Thearch's body into the mountain and river diagram. Then he broke through the rocks and rushed up. After a while, Lu Ming left the lava lake and landed on the shore. He swept his gaze around but did not find anyone. It seems that the Azure Demon King and the others have left. One don't know how long it has been. Let's look at the map first. Lu Ming pondered, took out the black jade talisman, and infused his holy power into it. Instantly, a black pattern floated in the air. There's a situation. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The rest of the black pattern was pitch black, but there were some light spots shining in the darkness. This meant that someone had to activate the jade card to see it. In one of the places, there was a group of light spots. There were at least 100 of them, and they were all shining. In other places, there were spots of light moving toward the group of spots of light. So many people are gathered together. Could it be that the ancient emperor has gathered them all? Lu Ming pondered. This meant that the ancient emperor had yet to retrieve the ancient demonic coffin. Let's go! Lu Ming kept the jade card and dashed out of the city. When he passed by those buildings, he could still hear the roars of beasts and there were claws attacking him. However, Lu Ming activated the prison-suppressing steel bloodline and passed through the buildings without any danger. It did not take long for Lu Ming to cross the entire ancient city and exit the city gate. Kill! When Lu Ming charged at the demon spirits, they charged at him. Chapter 2063. Chapter 2063, Strength Greatly Increased? Chapter 2063. Chapter 2063, Strength Greatly Increased. The dark mass of demon spirits charged towards Lu Ming. Among them, there were 2 one-star illusionary emperor-level demon spirits. Their attacks were very terrifying. Get lost! Lu Ming activated the prison-suppressing heaven technique and threw 2 punches. Thump, thump. Lu Ming's attack collided with the 2 demon spirit martial emperors, creating 2 loud booms. The 2 Mo Ling martial emperors' bodies shook violently. They could not withstand Lu Ming's terrifying power and were forced to retreat. I'll use you guys to test my battle prowess. Kill. Lu Ming's arms trembled. He felt that his body was filled with infinite power. Chaos Finger. Lu Ming pointed 2 fingers in a row, and holy power burst forth. At the same time, The Array Dao laws and the Chaos laws fused and supplemented the Chaos Finger of Calamity. Two terrifying finger forces were blasted toward the two martial emperor demon spirits. Wherever he passed, the energy surged and all the demon spirits in his way collapsed and exploded. The two martial emperor realm demon spirits seemed to feel threatened. They unleashed their full power and attacked Lu Ming twice. Boom, boom. Two earth-shaking rumbles were heard. This time, the two martial emperor realm demonic spirits trembled and retreated. Their bodies almost exploded. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with joy. His combat strength had indeed increased by a large margin. He had completely suppressed the two one-star martial emperors. Previously, when Lu Ming's cultivation base was at the peak of the absolute saint realm, he was no match for a one-star martial emperor. He was at a disadvantage and would be suppressed by the other party. Given Lu Ming's combat strength at that time, if he had broken through to the perfection of the absolute saint realm, he would have been able to fight against an ordinary one-star martial emperor. However, this time, not only did Lu Ming's cultivation level break through, but the power of his physical body and the complete fusion of two types of laws had increased his combat strength again. He could now suppress a one-star martial emperor. He could even suppress two one-star martial emperors. Lu Ming continued to point out the chaotic finger of tribulation. The two demon spirit martial emperors were forced to retreat by Lu Ming and could only barely resist. As for the demon spirits below the martial supreme realm, they exploded when Lu Ming's finger force swept across them. Bang! Bang! The weapons of the two demon spirit martial emperors were sent flying by Lu Ming, and cracks appeared on their bodies. If it were not for the armor they were wearing, which was extremely hard, they would have been shattered by Lu Ming. Kill! Not far away, there was a battle cry. A few more demon spirits rushed over. They were all martial emperor realm demon spirits. I don't want to play with you guys anymore, let's go. Lu Ming turned around and rushed outside. Wherever he passed, a large number of demon spirits were scattered. Ordinary demon spirits could not stop him at all. Lu Ming barged in and broke through the demon spirit armies, sniping in a short while, disappearing from the place. After leaving the area, Lu Ming took out the jade card again and activated the pattern on it. One could clearly see that there was also a light spot shining on Lu Ming's side. Lu Ming found the right direction and rushed towards the pile of light spots. Along the way, they didn't encounter any strange things. It was very peaceful. Lu Ming was getting closer and closer to the group of light spots. However, it took Lu Ming 3 days to get close to the light spots. From afar, there was a group of people standing high in the sky. Lu Ming saw the ancient emperor with a single glance. There was also the Azure Demon King and the few martial sovereigns who had pursued him back then. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. The next moment, he concealed it very well. Lu Ming kept the jade token and flew towards the ancient emperor and the rest. With the ancient emperor around, he believed that the Azure Demon King would not dare to do anything to him. Moreover, Lu Ming was not afraid of the Azure Demon King now. If the other party made a move, Lu Ming would take the opportunity to get rid of him. Lu Ming flew over and attracted everyone's attention. Lu Ming, when the Azure Demon King saw Lu Ming, his mouth opened so wide that he could swallow a duck's egg. His eyes were about to fall out in disbelief. Didn't he burn Lu Ming's body with the demonic fire and blast him into the lava? How could he not be dead? Moreover, Lu Ming's body seemed to be intact. Even his aura seemed to be much stronger. For you, the Ashen Demon King stammered. He even suspected that the Lu Ming in front of him was someone else in disguise. Azure Demon King, it seems like you're really getting old. You don't even recognize me? Lu Ming sneered. How could that be? The Azure Demon King was still dumbfounded. The few martial supremes who had tried to kill Lu Ming were also dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Thanks to Tsang Demon King, I'm fine. One just accidentally broke through in my cultivation. Lu Ming smiled faintly. The Azure Demon King almost spat out a mouthful of blood. His cultivation base had broken through. Lu Ming was trying to tell him that not only was he fine, but his cultivation had also broken through. This is all thanks to the Tsang Demon King. If not for him, I would probably need some time before one could make a breakthrough in my cultivation. Lu Ming said again. The Azure Demon King felt his liver and lungs hurt. His entire body ached and he felt a suffocating feeling in his chest. He almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What's going on? The ancient emperor turned his gaze over. Great Emperor, I'm fine. The Azure Demon King said hurriedly. It's good that you're all right. Our goal is to take back the ancient demon coffin. Don't mess around. The ancient emperor warned. With his experience, he could tell that something must have happened between Lu Ming and the Azure Demon King. However, since Lu Ming was fine, he would not bother about it. Lu Ming also smiled slightly and did not say much. The Ashen Demon King's gaze swept over Lu Ming, a cold, killing intent flashing in his eyes. Under such circumstances, Lu Ming did not die. He was shocked and even had a breakthrough in his cultivation. There had always been a saying in the cultivation world. Some peerless geniuses were born with great luck. This kind of person was usually very difficult to kill. When faced with danger, he could always turn the danger into safety and even use it to break through. In the eyes of the Azure Demon King, Lu Ming was such a person. This kind of person should be eliminated. He and Lu Ming were already mortal enemies. They would not rest until one of them was dead. When Lu Ming grew up in the future, he would definitely seek revenge. Therefore, he had to get rid of Lu Ming before he grew up. Different thoughts ran through their minds. Finally, Lu Ming looked for other people to gather information. After asking around, Lu Ming found out that he had been in the lava for a few months. And this time around, the ancient emperor had discovered the traces of the ancient demonic coffin. Hence, he had used the map to gather everyone here so that they could snatch the ancient demonic coffin back together. Time passed day by day. More and more people came here. After a few more days, there were already more than 200 people who had arrived. At this moment, the ancient emperor started explaining the situation to everyone. With a wave of his hand, an image appeared in the sky. In the picture, there was a mountain, and on the mountain, there was a group of people. Everyone's eyes narrowed. The figures on the mountain were all dressed in black robes, and their faces could not be seen clearly. They looked extremely similar to the man who had fought with the ancient emperor. That was a great emperor. Chapter 2064, Battling the Azure Demon King? Chapter 2064, Battling the Azure Demon King. Of course, there were so many black-robed men. They couldn't all be great emperors. They were just from the same race. A group of black-robed men, who looked thin and not very burly, were currently surrounding a huge black demon coffin. They kept turning around and shouting in different voices, as if they were performing some kind of ritual. That is, the ancient demonic coffin? Lu Ming stared at the huge black demonic coffin on the screen, his eyes burning with passion. Boom! All of a sudden, one of the black-robed men looked up into the sky as if he was looking in their direction. Then he waved his hand, and the void trembled. The image created by the ancient emperor collapsed. It was obvious that the other great emperor had noticed that the ancient emperor was peeking at them. There's a great sovereign realm expert on the other side. He's the one fought with last time. There are a few other experts with him. 111 hold him back later. You guys go and take the ancient demonic coffin. After that, leave the demonic sea immediately. Do you understand? Jiang Chen said. The ancient emperor ordered. Yes, great emperor. Everyone acknowledged the order. With the ancient emperor leading the way, the group of them flew forward. Soon, a huge mountain appeared in front of them. Everyone's eyesight was amazing, and they could see it from far away. That mountain peak was the image that the ancient emperor had just shown. At the peak of the mountain, there was a group of black-robed men circling a huge demonic coffin. The ancient emperor's body flickered as he charged towards the mountain. His speed was so fast that it exceeded everyone's reaction time. As the ancient emperor neared the mountain, a black beam of light shot out from the mountain. It was like a black waterfall, slicing through the void and slashing down at the ancient emperor like a demonic blade. Boom! The ancient emperor made his move as well. As the two of them clashed, a deafening boom reverberated through the heavens and earth. Thump! Boom! The two of them continued to fight, and the sky rumbled. The two of them fought high up in the sky, tearing open the space and fighting into an alternate dimension. "It's our turn to attack, kill," Song Emo shouted coldly and charged towards the mountain. Before he left, he cast a cold glance at Lu Ming. Some of the strongest true emperors and void emperors rushed forward. They were the fastest, much faster than emperors to be. Then, the emperor-to-be with the largest number of people also rushed forward. Lu Ming was among the many emperor-to-be. In just a few breaths, the martial sovereigns were about to reach the mountain in front of them. However, at this moment, two figures suddenly stopped in front of Lu Ming. These were two old men with exceptionally powerful auras. They were both powerhouses of the empty emperor realm. The two of them exuded a faint murderous aura and blocked Lu Ming's way. Some of the emperor-to-be looked at Lu Ming with pity, but no one stayed behind. They all flew forward. All of a sudden, only Lu Ming and the two elders were left. "What is the meaning of this?" Lu Ming said in a deep voice. "It's simple, it'll take your life." The old man on the right showed a cold smile. "It's that Song Demon King who asked you to kill me again." Lu Ming sneered. "So what if one no? I'm still going to die." The old man on the right said, "It's not good to end the battle quickly and be discovered by the great emperor." The old man on the left said. The next moment, the two elders' auras rose sharply. The power of the world filled the air and they were about to charge at Lu Ming. "Then go to hell." At this moment, a sword appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It was a stone sword. Buzz. Lu Ming wielded the stone sword and slashed out. A crescent-shaped sword gleam was slashed out. The attacks and defenses of the two elders at the empty emperor realm were completely useless. They were cut in half at the waist by Lu Ming's sword. The terrifying sword chi coursed through their bodies and instantly destroyed their souls. In the face of the heavenly emperor sword, the two void emperors were instantly killed without any resistance. Lu Ming put away their storage rings and rushed to the mountain ahead. At this moment, a huge battle had already erupted on the mountain. The experts from the Eternal Devil Nation were engaged in an intense battle with the black-robed figures. Lu Ming concealed his aura and approached the mountain at high speed like a ghost. He didn't make a move. He wanted to use the God's Breath technique to climb up the mountain silently and take the ancient demon coffin. Lu Ming walked along the mountain, using the huge rocks to avoid others. Soon he was halfway up the mountain and would reach the top soon. Boom, boom. There were martial supremes fighting all around the mountain. Rocks were flying everywhere. All kinds of huge rocks that were a few meters high or tens of meters high were thrown at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body kept moving and he dodged them cleverly. Lu Ming was rapidly approaching the peak of the mountain. All of a sudden, a scorching aura blasted toward Lu Ming at an alarming speed. Lu Ming's hair stood on end. He stopped in his tracks and retreated rapidly. Boom. A scorching black light blasted the spot where Lu Ming had been standing. A pitch-black hole immediately appeared on the mountain. "Lu Ming, you're really lucky." An old man appeared in front of Lu Ming. His eyes were extremely cold. If it wasn't the Azure Demon King, who else could it be? The Ashen Demon King had just repelled an opponent and was about to rush to the top when he spotted Lu Ming. He had attacked Lu Ming directly, but the latter had been sharp enough to avoid an attack. The Azure Demon King's eyes flashed with a thick murderous intent and shock. He had just sent two Void Emperors to kill Lu Ming. Those two were not ordinary Void Emperors. One was a 3-star Void Emperor while the other was a 4-star Void Emperor. However, Lu Ming was safe and sound now, which shocked him greatly. He was determined to kill Lu Ming. "I didn't kill you last time, so I'll kill you again. This time, I'll turn you into ashes and make your soul scatter. Let's see if you'll die or not." The Azure Demon King's eyes were sinister, and his entire body was covered in demonic flames. The peak true emperor was too terrifying. If he used his full strength, he could turn Lu Ming into ashes in one move. Back in the ancient city, Song Demon King had not used his full strength. Later on, Lu Ming had jumped into the magma, which had greatly hindered Song Demon King's attack. Otherwise, Lu Ming would not have had the chance to merge the two Saint Hearts. Bang! The Ashen Demon King took a step forward. His demonic fire transformed into a demonic fire saber and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not afraid. He held the stone sword and slashed. Boom. The stone sword and the demonic flame saber collided with a terrifying boom. Lu Ming could feel a powerful force surging towards him, and he could not help but retreat. However, the devil flame saber was also blocked by him. Your sword? The Azure Demon King was shocked. Lu Ming could actually block one of his moves. His gaze fell on the stone sword in Lu Ming's hand, which was emitting a blazing flame. Lu Ming was only an absolute saint, but he could control the stone sword and unleash such terrifying power. If he had it, wouldn't he be able to fight against a great emperor? His heart was burning with passion. He understood that the two Void Emperors from before had been killed by this sword. Hand over the sword and 111 leave your corpse intact. The Ashen Demon King said coldly as he stepped towards Lu Ming. Chapter 2065. The Figure in the Ancient Demonic Coffin. Chapter 2065. The figure in the ancient demonic coffin. The Azure Demon King's eyes were fixed on the stone sword in Lu Ming's hand. His body was covered in terrifying demonic fire, raising the temperature to a terrifying level. Song Demon King, 111 send you on your way today. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Then, a stone golem appeared in front of him. When the golem first appeared, it was only as tall as a person, but it rapidly grew in size, like a small mountain. The Azure Demon King was taken aback. He had a bad feeling. At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward. His body merged with the stone golem and disappeared into it. Demon King Tsang die. The stone man roared and sent a palm towards the Azure Demon King. The Azure Demon King's pupils contracted. He felt a sense of danger and retreated frantically. However, the golem's hand was even faster and caught up to Tsang Demon King in an instant. The hand covered the sky and blocked all of his escape routes. Boom. As the giant hand pressed down, sand and stones flew, and the pressure was powerful to the extreme. The Azure Demon King was terrified and used all his power to control a true emperor weapon to block the stone hand. However, under the pressure of the giant hand, his true emperor weapon was directly blown apart. The terrifying power slammed into the Azure Demon King's body, causing him to scream in pain as his body was sent flying. He crashed into the mountain, causing the entire mountain to shake. The mountain had been eroded by demonic chi all year round and had long since been sturdy and immortal, but it was still smashed apart by the Azure Demon King, leaving a huge crater. How is that possible? How is that possible? The Azure Demon King howled in his heart. He couldn't believe how the golem could be so powerful. He was a peak true emperor, but he couldn't even resist this stone being. He was truly terrified. However, if Lu Ming had such powerful golems, why did he not use them in the ancient city? At that time, Lu Ming almost died in his hands, but he did not even use the golems. Could it be that Lu Ming had obtained the golems in the ancient city? The golems he got from the lava? At this thought, the Azure Demon King almost spat out a mouthful of blood. If that was the case, he would be helping Lu Ming. Boom. The stone golem landed heavily in front of the Azure Demon King. The latter was shocked and wanted to use a secret technique to escape, but the stone golem stomped down, stomping him under its foot. The Azure Demon King let out a blood-curdling screech. He was like a lazy toad that had been stomped on, almost bursting into pieces. Don't kill me, Lu Ming. Let me go. I'm an important official of the Eternal Devil Nation. If you kill me, you'll be offending the entire Eternal Devil Nation. The Ashen Demon King was terrified. He wanted to use the Eternal Demon Nation to threaten Lu Ming. Don't use the Eternal Devil Nation to threaten me. You're just a peak true emperor. You can't represent the Eternal Devil Nation. Kill. Lu Ming did not say anything more. He wielded the stone sword and slashed at the Ashen Demon King. The Azure Demon King howled madly. He was almost scared out of his wits as he struggled with all his might. However, it was useless. As the battle sword slashed down, the Azure Demon King's head exploded like a watermelon. His soul was destroyed. After killing the Ashen Demon King, Lu Ming kept the Ashen Demon King's storage ring. Then, he took a step forward and rushed to the top of the mountain. There were people in black robes who tried to stop him, but they were killed by his sword. With the energy stored in the stone golems, they could simply abuse the arch of the He family. No one below the arch level could stop Lu Ming. Anyone who dared to stop Lu Ming would be killed in seconds. In a few breaths, Lu Ming had rushed to the top of the mountain. At this moment, most of the black-robed men were drawn away to fight the eternal devil nation. Only a black-robed man was still sitting cross-legged beside the huge demonic coffin. The ancient demonic coffin. Lu Ming's eyes were burning with passion. As long as he could get the eternal demonic coffin, he could save Qiuyu. Buzz. Lu Ming stretched out a large hand and grabbed at the ancient demonic coffin. However, at this moment, the black-robed figure sitting in front of the coffin suddenly opened his eyes. 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes like 2 terrifying divine swords that could pierce through everything. Clang, clang. The 2 beams of light struck Lu Ming's large hand, producing the sound of metal clashing. A terrifying force blocked the large hand from moving forward. At the same time, the black-robed man dashed forward, his body emitting a terrifying demonic light. He waved his hands and 2 pitch-black palm prints shot toward Lu Ming. The palm print was like an avalanche, its power shocking. Great Emperor. There was actually a great emperor here. There were 2 great emperors among the black-robed men. One of them was fighting against the ancient emperor while the other was guarding this place. Under the demonic sea, there was a group of terrifying black-robed people. Among them, there were actually 2 great emperors keeping watch. This was truly shocking. Lu Ming clenched his fist and the stone golem's house-like fists blasted towards the black-robed man. Boom, boom. There were 2 consecutive deafening rumbles. Lu Ming had blocked 2 of the opponent's palm prints. Slash. With a single thought, the stone sword flew out and slashed down violently. The other party's body trembled, and demonic light filled the sky. At the same time, the other party controlled the power of the Great Tao, turning it into a demonic weapon and attacking Lu Ming. Thump. There was another huge tremor and the stone sword buzzed. It was sent flying back and landed in Lu Ming's hands. Lu Ming held the stone sword in his hand and continuously slashed at his opponent. He launched a storm-like attack, completely disregarding his own injuries. The other party had transformed great Taos into weapons, and their offensive power was astonishing. However, when they landed on Celestial Emperor's corporeal body, they couldn't break through the defense of Celestial Emperor's corporeal body at all. The Eternal Universe Heavenly Emperor had reached the Heavenly Emperor realm through his stone golems. His Bodis defense was stronger than an ordinary Heavenly Emperor's, and ordinary Great Emperors couldn't break through it at all. Lu Ming went all out and ignored his defense. His combat strength increased greatly. The other party was forced to retreat by Lu Ming and was at a disadvantage for a while. After more than 10 moves, the black-robed emperor was sent flying by Lu Ming's sword. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and appeared in front of the demonic coffin. He stretched out his claws, wanting to grab the demonic coffin. However, at this moment, Lu Ming was suddenly stunned. The ancient demonic coffin didn't have a lid. Therefore, one could clearly see what was going on inside the coffin from this position. Inside the demonic coffin, there was actually a person, a woman, who was peerlessly beautiful. Xian Yanqing. The woman in the coffin was Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming was completely stunned when he saw Xian Yanqing. Why would Xian Yanqing be here? Back then, the Ice Dragon Patriarch had taken Xian Yanqing and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had taken Lu Ming. They had broken out of the encirclement from different directions. Since then he had lost contact with Xian Yanqing and had never seen him. In the blink of an eye, several years had passed. However, he never expected that Xian Yanqing would appear here. This was the Demon Sea, one of the forbidden areas in the land of 10,000 demons. Moreover, Xian Yanqing was still lying in the demon coffin. Lu Ming let out a long sigh of relief when he scanned Xian Yanqing with his spiritual senses. His vital signs were normal and there were no problems. However, Xian Yanqing's eyes were closed as he lay in the coffin. It was as if he couldn't sense anything outside. Put it away first. Lu Ming did not care so much. He would keep it first. While Lu Ming was still in a daze, the black-robed emperor launched a few attacks at Lu Ming, forcing him to retreat. Chapter 2066. The Canyon That Can't Be Entered. Chapter 2066. The Canyon That Can't Be Entered. Get lost. Lu Ming shouted. Xian Yanqing was lying in the eternal demonic coffin. He was determined to get his hands on the coffin. Lu Ming waved the stone sword and launched a storm of attacks at the black-robed emperor. The black-robed emperor was forced back again. Just as Lu Ming thought that he had a chance to put away the eternal demonic coffin, the space at the top of the mountain cracked open all of a sudden. A figure appeared out of nowhere. His entire body was covered in demonic light, and his appearance could not be seen clearly. With a wave of his hand, a huge hand formed and grabbed at the eternal demonic coffin. Get lost. Lu Ming abandoned the black-robed emperor and stomped on the ground. His huge body rushed toward the figure that had suddenly appeared. At the same time, he slashed out with his stone sword. Boom. The sword light shattered the giant hand, but it didn't stop and continued to attack the opponent. The other party could only block and collide with the stone sword. Boom. The figure took a few steps back, and the demonic light covering his body shook, revealing his true appearance. Undying Emperor. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. This expert who had suddenly appeared was actually the Undying Emperor of the Undying Demon Nation. Undying Emperor wants the ancient demon nation's national treasure, the ancient demon coffin. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat as he guessed Undying Emperor's intention. Buzz. The Undying Emperor didn't want to fight with Lu Ming. He turned into more than a dozen figures and rushed toward the ancient demonic coffin from all directions. It was impossible to tell which one was real from which one was fake. It was as if every single one of them was real. Don't even think about it. Lu Ming shouted in his heart and controlled the golems. The golems' bodies shrunk rapidly, becoming the size of ordinary people. Lu Ming's speed increased dramatically after he turned into the size of a normal person. He took a step forward and rushed towards the ancient demonic coffin. At the same time, he slashed out more than 10 sword lights towards the Undying Emperor's shadows. Bang! The Undying Emperor's dozen figures attacked at the same time. They displayed their terrifying combat strength and crushed Lu Ming's sword radiance. Just as Lu Ming was about to reach the ancient demonic coffin, the black-robed emperor appeared again and blocked him. The three of them were caught in a chaotic battle. Lu Ming and the Undying Emperor wanted to take the eternal demonic coffin while the black-robed emperor wanted to protect it. The three of them were engaged in an intense battle. Lu Ming was furious. He completely ignored his own defense. The energy in the golem burst out wildly and suppressed the other two people for a moment. But this way, the golem's energy consumption was also shocking. They could not last for too long. Don't even think about it. The black-robed emperor roared in a hoarse voice. He took Lu Ming's attack head-on at the risk of being injured and retreated back to the eternal demonic coffin. Thump. At the same time, he struck out a move at the ancient demonic coffin, causing it to fly out. In that direction, there was a pitch-black canyon that was filled with demonic chi. The ancient demon coffin flew into the valley and disappeared. The ancient demonic coffin is mine. Undying Emperor charged into the canyon. However, just as he was about to rush in, he was stopped by a force. Then, Undying Emperor's body was blown out. As for Lu Ming, he also rushed towards the canyon. Boom! At the entrance of the canyon, Lu Ming seemed to have hit a wall. There was a force that stopped him. Lu Ming frantically unleashed the power within the golems, but it was useless. He was blocked by that force and could not charge in at all. Moreover, there was an extremely powerful force in the canyon that rushed toward Lu Ming. Even the power of the golems could not withstand it, and Lu Ming was pushed back. Those above the rank of Martial Supreme can't enter. Those below the rank of Martial Supreme will never be able to come out after entering. The black-robed emperor sneered. However, Lu Ming did not seem to hear him. He took a step forward and rushed toward the canyon. When he was about to reach the entrance of the canyon, the stone golem glowed and suddenly disappeared. Lu Ming's original body appeared. With a swish, Lu Ming dashed into the canyon and disappeared. Below the rank of a Martial Supreme. The black-robed emperor blurted out before sneering. Those below the rank of Marshal Supreme may be able to enter, but they will never be able to come out. Damn it! Undying Emperor roared and charged into the canyon again. Black-robe didn't stop him. This time, Undying Emperor didn't make it into the canyon. He was sent flying out by a force. Boom! A violent boom came from the sky. Then, two beams of light rushed over and two figures appeared. They were the Ancient Emperor and the Black-robed Emperor. The two black-robed emperors gathered together. The Ancient Emperor glared at the Undying Emperor coldly. Even if I'm not dead, you're still here for the ancient demon coffin? Brother Ancient One, you couldn't even protect your own treasure properly, and it was stolen by someone else. I'm here to help you retrieve it. The Undying Emperor sneered. You don't have to worry, the Ancient Emperor said coldly. He then looked at the canyon and walked towards it. The two black-robed emperors stood to the side without any intention of stopping him. However, just like Undying Emperor, the Ancient Emperor couldn't enter and was sent flying out. You can't go in, please go back. A black-robed emperor said. You guys stole my ancient demonic coffin. Are you not going to hand it over? The Ancient Emperor's eyes were as cold as ice. Of course it's useful. Besides, I can't give it to you even if I wanted to. Those above Marshal Supreme can't enter, and those below Marshal Supreme can't come out even if they enter. A black-robed emperor sneered. Anyone below the rank of Marshal Supreme can't come out? The Ancient Emperor frowned. So, please go back. Don't think about letting anyone below the rank of a Marshal Supreme enter. This place is our tribe's holy land. No one is allowed to enter. A black-robed emperor spoke, and the two of them stood in front of the canyon. This is your business, one won't get involved. The Undying Emperor laughed. Although he couldn't get the ancient demonic coffin, it wasn't his anyway. On the other hand, the Ancient Emperor had lost his ancient demonic coffin and suffered a huge loss. The Undying Emperor laughed and tore the space apart. The Ancient Emperor looked at the canyon with a look of unwillingness. He then rushed into the sky and shouted, "Stop! Leave this place! Stop!" The black-robed emperor ordered. Instantly, the people from both sides stopped fighting and rushed into the sky. He walked to the side of the Ancient Emperor. The Great Emperor and the Azure Demon King were killed by Lu Ming. One of the true emperors reported to the Ancient Emperor. I know, Song Demon King only has himself to blame. The Ancient Emperor nodded his head with a cold look in his eyes. And NBSP, although he had been fighting with the enemy, he had still been paying attention to the situation below, so he naturally knew what had happened. He was shocked that Lu Ming had a terrifying treasure like the Celestial Thearch's body. Moreover, that Song Demon King had gone too far. He deserved to be killed by Lu Ming. Chapter 2067. The People in the Canyon. Chapter 2067. The people in the canyon hearing the Ancient Emperor's words, no one else dared to say anything. They knew that the Ashen Demon King had died for nothing. This was because the abilities that Lu Ming had displayed were too terrifying. Not to mention his rare talent, just that stone golem alone was enough to fight a great emperor. Just that alone was enough for him to gain the respect of the Ancient Emperor. The Azure Demon King was only a true emperor. At his age, it was impossible for him to break through to the Great Emperor realm in his lifetime. Therefore, he would have died in vain. Let's go back first, the Ancient Emperor said. Naturally, he wouldn't give up on the ancient demonic coffin just like that. The ancient demonic coffin had been passed down for countless years and was the most precious treasure of the ancient devil nation. It was filled with all sorts of mysteries and he naturally wouldn't give it up so easily. He planned to go back first and bring more experts. With that, everyone from the eternal devil nation left the place. Will that brat be all right after he enters? A black-robed emperor looked toward the canyon. Martial sovereigns can't enter this place. Anyone below the rank of a martial sovereign won't be able to leave unless they're a heaven-defying genius. However, there weren't many geniuses like that even in ancient times. The other black-robed emperor said. As soon as Lu Ming rushed into the canyon, he saw the ancient demonic coffin in front of him. Lu Ming hurriedly rushed over and looked into the demonic coffin. Xian Yanqing was lying quietly in the coffin. His breathing was even, as if he was asleep. This was definitely Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming would not be mistaken. Their auras were exactly the same. Little Qing, little Qing. Lu Ming called out softly, but Xian Yanqing did not respond at all. Why did little Qing appear here? The ancient demonic coffin must have been stolen by the black-robed emperor. Why would they put little Qing in the ancient demonic coffin? Could it be that little Qing's soul was also injured? Those black-robed men were trying to save little Qing? Lu Ming was full of doubts and conjectures. However, she would only know the answer after Xian Yanqing woke up. Let's leave this place. Lu Ming thought to himself and then looked behind him. He was shocked, because there was no way out. It was clearly the entrance of the canyon, the place where Lu Ming had just entered. However, there was nothing there now. There was no entrance to the canyon. Lu Ming threw a punch and a wave of fist force blasted toward the void. However, it was like a stone sinking into the sea and did not cause any waves. There's no way out. It seems like we can only move forward. Lu Ming looked at the front of the canyon. In front of him, it was extremely deep and dark. He didn't know how long it was or where it led. Lu Ming kept the ancient demon coffin into the mountain and river diagram and then walked forward. Stop, you can't pass this road. Suddenly, a figure stood in front of Lu Ming and spoke coldly. It was a middle-aged man with a saber on his back. Senior, I'm here by accident. Please do me a favor. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. You can't pass through this place unless you defeat me. The middle-aged man's eyes and voice were cold as if he was not a real person. Lu Ming sized him up carefully. Indeed, he could tell that the middle-aged man was not a real person. He was condensed from energy. Don't tell me that I still need to go through some tests in order to get out of here? Lu Ming thought to himself. In the next moment, he rushed over and cast the prison-suppressing heaven technique, throwing a punch. Buzz! A jet-black blade light burst out, splitting the mist and slashing toward Lu Ming. Boom! The saber light collided with Lu Ming's fist. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him as if it was going to tear his body apart. Lu Ming's figure could not help but retreat. What a terrifying power! Lu Ming's eyes were filled with shock. Lu Ming could tell that the middle-aged man was at the Emperor-to-be realm. However, his strength was truly terrifying. Lu Ming had just used the prison-suppressing heavenly art and the chaotic law. The power of that punch was enough to force a one-star void emperor to retreat. However, the situation just now was the exact opposite. The one who retreated was Lu Ming. Again! Lu Ming's eyes were filled with fighting spirit as he stepped forward. The light of chaos spread out from his body and covered his entire body. Lu Ming cast the chaos ring and pointed with his finger. And NBSP, a massive chaos finger of tribulation, shot toward the enemy. At the same time, countless runes appeared in his left hand. 9 dragons flew out and attacked his opponent. The middle-aged man's face was cold and indifferent, as if he would always have that expression. The saber in his hand slashed out again. The jet-black saber light tore apart the primal chaos tribulation finger and the 9 dragons condensed from the array Dao laws. The saber chi swept across and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming was forced to retreat. Even the chaotic laws and chaotic light that covered his body were almost torn apart. What a terrifying combat strength! This middle-aged man was definitely an amazing existence among the Emperor-to-be. If separation doesn't work, then fuse. The fighting spirit in Lu Ming's eyes grew stronger. Instead of retreating, he advanced and charged towards the middle-aged man. He pointed his fingers continuously and shot out finger forces at the man. This was the primal chaos tribulation finger, but it was indeed the fusion of the primal chaos laws and the array Dao laws. Now, as the 2 Saint Hearts had merged into one, Lu Ming's 2 types of laws had also completely merged and the power was shocking. And NBSP, the middle-aged man's blade, exploded with light as it clashed with the primal chaos tribulation finger. Boom! Boom! The blade glowed and the energy burst out, constantly bombarding the canyon. With their current combat strength, they could definitely tear the ground apart. However, in this canyon, they could only leave shallow marks on the ground and the walls. The two of them exchanged a few moves in a row. Surprisingly, even though Lu Ming used the fusion of two types of laws, he could not gain the upper hand. He only ended up in a draw with his opponent. Kill! Lu Ming let out a long roar and exerted all his strength to the extreme. His saint heart spun rapidly, and his saint power surged out like a river. Lu Ming circulated the power of law to the extreme as he fought the middle-aged man. But even so, the two of them were still tied. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves, but it was still difficult to determine the winner. Boom! Lu Ming exchanged another blow with the other party and retreated a few hundred meters. After Lu Ming retreated a distance, the burly man did not pursue him. He just stood there and blocked his way. What powerful strength! Lu Ming was shocked. He guessed that the middle-aged man's combat strength was almost on par with the Son of God. Even if he was not as strong, he was not far from it. Lu Ming's current cultivation level was very close to an emperor-to-be. Lu Ming's spirit body was stronger than the average child of God. The saint heart was formed by two saint hearts and the fusion of two laws. Lu Ming was confident that he could even fight against a son of heaven who had become an emperor-to-be. But now, they could only fight to a draw. Just now, at this moment, Lu Ming suddenly thought of something else. He raised his hand and there was a death aura on his palm. This was the law of death. Chapter 2068. Chapter 2067, Nianxing is awake. Chapter 2068. Chapter 2067 Nianxing is awake. Lu Ming raised his hand. The death law was actually spreading out from his hand. Although it was very weak and only had a trace of aura, it was enough to shake the entire world if it were to spread. Lu Ming himself was also shocked and dumbfounded. He took a long time to react. He seemed to have mastered the law of death. Previously, in the ancient city, Lu Ming was chased by the Gang Demon King and rushed into the magma. His body was burned and turned into ashes. From a certain perspective, Lu Ming had really fallen and was facing death. That experience gave Lu Ming a deep understanding of death. After that, he had been busy absorbing energy for Celestial Emperor's corporeal body and didn't have the time to sense it carefully. It wasn't until he fought the middle-aged man with all his strength that his attacks actually contained a trace of the death law. This was an unbelievable thing. It was true that those below the rank of Martial Supreme could only comprehend one law. However, Lu Ming had cultivated the twin forbidden spell and fused his main body with his secondary body. He had cultivated two saint hearts and could control two laws. After that, when he was on the verge of death in the lava, the two saint hearts had fused, causing the two laws to also merge. It was already unbelievable that someone below the rank of a Martial Supreme could control two types of nomological laws and even fuse them together. It would shock countless people if he were to say it. But compared to now, it was nothing. The death maxim was one of the 10 ultimate maxims. Moreover, out of the 10 ultimate maxims, no two maxims could coexist. This was a truth that had never changed since ancient times. Even if he had cultivated to the Martial Emperor realm, it was impossible for him to control two ultimate laws. A mountain could not accommodate two tigers. However, Lu Ming had yet to reach the Martial Emperor realm, but he seemed to have mastered two ultimate maxims. Although the death maxim was still extremely weak, he had indeed mastered it. The two strongest laws coexisted. If this were to spread out, it would scare people to death. Is it because of my saint heart? Lu Ming could not help but guess. His saint heart was too special. It was transformed from the twin forbidden spell. In history, even if someone had cultivated the forbidden twin spell and even two saint hearts, he would still be a saint. However, no one was like Lu Ming, who had two saint hearts merged together again. The probability of this happening was too small. Therefore, Lu Ming's special saint heart was able to contain many laws at the same time, even the 10 ultimate laws. At the thought of this, Lu Ming was overjoyed. Did this mean that he would be able to control more ultimate maxims in the future? If he could control all 10 ultimate maxims and merge them together, what would happen? Lu Ming's heart could not help but beat wildly. He was filled with anticipation. Then he'll cultivate here for a while. Lu Ming pondered for a while before he took out the eternal demonic coffin and placed it on the ground. After taking a look at Xian Yanqing, Lu Ming sat cross-legged beside the coffin and began to study the death law in detail. As his comprehension deepened, a layer of death intent emanated from his body. Although it was extremely faint, it was indeed the death law. Lu Ming had been cultivating continuously for several days. His understanding of the law of death was slowly deepening. However, he had not even mastered half of it. However, Lu Ming was already very satisfied. He knew that he had really mastered the law of death. The same person could control two ultimate maxims at the same time. Even Lu Ming felt like he was dreaming. The law of death is still too weak and not very powerful. When it's more mature, it can even merge with other laws. How powerful will it be then? Also, I've already mastered 3 types of nomological laws. Can I master more? Lu Ming had already started to let his imagination run wild. At his current realm, he naturally did not need to comprehend other nomological laws like when his cultivation was low. He could skip all these and directly comprehend nomological laws. It was just like how a martial emperor would start to comprehend new laws directly from the laws when he tried to comprehend them. In the following days, Lu Ming spent his time comprehending the death rule and trying to merge it with the other 2 rules. Lu Ming's Saint Heart was really amazing. He tried to merge the laws and the process was very smooth. Half a month later, Lu Ming's death maxim had been cultivated to 10%. He could also fuse it with the chaos maxim and the array Dao maxim. In this way, Lu Ming's combat strength had increased a little. However, Xian Yanqing had not woken up for the past half a month. This made Lu Ming a little anxious. What if Xian Yanqing doesn't wake up? Qiu Yu was still waiting for the ancient demonic coffin? However, it was useless to be anxious. He could only wait. Lu Ming collected his thoughts and continued to comprehend the death law. And NBSP, his mastery of the chaos laws and array Dao laws was already very high. It would be very difficult to improve. However, he had just gained a preliminary understanding of the death rule. Back then, Lu Ming had experienced death in the lava. His understanding of the death rule was extremely fast. And NBSP, as time passed, his understanding of the death law became deeper and deeper. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been in the canyon for a month. His mastery of the law of death had also reached 20%. I'll go and try again. Lu Ming kept the ancient demonic coffin and stepped forward. When he arrived at a certain area, the middle-aged man appeared again. There was nothing more to say. Lu Ming took action immediately. Lu Ming used all his strength the moment he made his move. This time, Lu Ming used 3 types of laws together. After all, the death maxim was one of the 10 ultimate maxims. When it was fused with the chaos maxim, the explosive power was terrifyingly strong, as if some kind of qualitative change had occurred. This time, Lu Ming had the upper hand. After dozens of moves, Lu Ming defeated his opponent's saber light with 1 move. He bombarded his opponent's body and defeated him. He had finally defeated the middle-aged man. Lu Ming smiled and continued to move forward. However, after moving forward for a while, Lu Ming had no choice but to stop. That was because 2 figures had appeared in front of him. They were 2 middle-aged men. When Lu Ming fought with the other party, he realized that the 2 middle-aged men's combat strength was exactly the same as the previous one. One of them was already very terrifying. With 2 of them attacking at the same time, Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage despite using all his strength. He was rather speechless and could only retreat. It seems like I won't be able to break out in a short period of time. Lu Ming shook his head and then took out the eternal demonic coffin. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Just now, he noticed that Xian Yanqing's finger had moved. Lu Ming would not be wrong. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Was Xian Yanqing waking up? Lu Ming stared at Xian Yanqing. Indeed, not long after, Xian Yanqing's fingers moved again. It didn't take long before it moved again. After a while, Xian Yanqing let out an and opened her eyes. He saw Lu Ming the moment he opened his big, black eyes. In the beginning, there was some confusion in his eyes, but then, it turned into endless joy. Lu Ming! Xian Yanking's crisp voice came out of his mouth. Chapter 2069. Chapter 2068, Experience. Chapter 2069. Chapter 2068 Experience. Xian Yanking's eyes widened as he stared at Lu Ming. At first, he did not seem to believe it, but slowly, it turned into surprise. Lu Ming! Xian Yanqing called out in disbelief, as if he was dreaming. Little Qing, it's me. Lu Ming was also overjoyed. Xian Yanqing finally woke up. It seemed like he was fine. It had been several years since they last met. It would be a lie to say that he didn't miss her. Lu Ming, it's really you. Xian Yanqing seemed to have finally confirmed that it was Lu Ming. She rushed out of the eternal demonic coffin and into Lu Ming's arms. Lu Ming wrapped his arm around Xian Yanking's slender waist and held him tightly in his arms. After a long time, the two separated. Little Qing, why are you here? How did he appear in the ancient demonic coffin? How was the ice dragon ancestor? And who are those black-robed men? Lu Ming asked a series of questions. He was indeed full of doubts. Back then, the ice dragon patriarch and one escaped from evil spirits' pursuit. Then, Xian Yanqing told her about her experiences over the years. Back then, Xian Yanqing and the ice dragon patriarch had escaped evil spirits' pursuit and accidentally escaped to an ancient ruin. The ancient ruins were extremely mysterious. While exploring the ancient ruins, Xian Yanqing accidentally stepped onto an ancient teleportation array and was directly teleported to the demonic sea of the land of infinite demons. In the demonic sea, she had encountered those black-robed men. Xian Yanqing told him that the demonic sea had fallen from the heaven realm during the ancient war. Some of them had not died and had been passed down since then. They were the black-robed men. All these years, she had been cultivating in the demonic sea. She wanted to leave, but those black-robed men wouldn't let her. So, the ice dragon patriarch is still in the ancient ruins? Lu Ming said. It's possible. However, the ancient ruins are very mysterious. There might be other teleportation arrays. The ice dragon patriarch might have been teleported to another place. Xian Yanqing said. How did those black-robed men steal the ancient demonic coffin and place you inside? This was Lu Ming's biggest question. I don't know. Those people are always so mysterious. Xian Yanqing said, seemingly unwilling to elaborate. He changed the topic and asked Lu Ming, why are you here? How did you survive all these years? It's like this. Immediately, Lu Ming briefly recounted his experiences over the years. Lu Ming, it turns out that you have experienced so much. Xian Yanqing leaned on Lu Ming gently. But I've finally found you. No matter how much I've experienced, it's all worth it. Lu Ming put his arm around Xian Yanking's shoulders. However, that girl of yours is dead set on you. At this moment, Xian Yanqing suddenly looked at Lu Ming again. His big eyes blinked, not knowing what he was thinking. Are you jealous? Lu Ming touched his nose. Yes. Xian Yanqing was very straightforward and nodded. However, he immediately said, however, she's devoted to you and can even die for you. If you let her down, I won't let you off. Lu Ming was a little confused. What did Xian Yanqing mean by this? He was jealous, but he also told Lu Ming not to let Qiu down. Lu Ming could not figure out what he was thinking. A heartless person is not worth entrusting your life to. You won't understand even if I tell you. What are you waiting for? Quickly put that little girl of yours into the ancient demonic coffin. Xian Yanqing said. Okay. Lu Ming quickly took out the Dian elixir furnace and placed Qiu into the eternal demonic coffin. There was a mysterious power in the eternal demonic coffin that immediately enveloped Qiu's body. Qiu's face seemed to be more ruddy, and Lu Ming could finally put his heart at ease. Then, Lu Ming kept the ancient demon coffin into the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing had not seen each other for many years. They had many topics to talk about, and the two of them started chatting again. As they were chatting, Xian Yanqing suddenly frowned. A trace of pain flashed across his eyes and he let out a soft Lu Ming naturally noticed all of this. Little Qing, what's wrong? Lu Ming asked hurriedly. No, nothing much? Xian Yanqing smiled and shook his head. Lu Ming was suspicious. Xian Yanqing had clearly looked like he was in pain. Could it be that little Qing is injured? Lu Ming was puzzled. He held Xian Yanqing's small hand and sensed it carefully. However, he realized that Xian Yanqing was in good health and was not injured at all. Little Qing, do you know what's going on with this canyon? Do I really have to charge all the way to the end before one can leave? Lu Ming asked. Not bad. Xian Yanqing nodded. There is a heavenly region in the 9 skies of the heaven realm. It is called the ancient demon heavenly region. Almost everyone there is a demonic cultivator. The ancient foreign races invaded and fought until the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Many demon cities and demon mountains fell from the heaven realm, forming the demon sea. And this mountain fell from the heaven realm. In the heaven realm, this mountain should belong to an extremely powerful force, and this canyon was used by that force to test their disciples. Only the strongest below the martial supreme realm can pass through this place. If they can't, they'll be trapped here for the rest of their lives or even die of old age. Such a strict assessment. Lu Ming was also secretly shocked. Once one entered this canyon, there was no other way out except to use extremely strong combat power. This was forcing him to continuously improve and squeeze out his potential. As expected, devil cultivators did things differently. They were very evil. How strong is the strongest below the martial supreme? Lu Ming muttered. I'm guessing that the strongest below the martial supreme realm is just a saying. Or rather, it's just a boundary. There's always a higher mountain. Who knows what's the strongest combat strength? It's just a boundary. Once you reach that boundary, you'll be able to leave. Xian Yanqing explained. She had been in the demonic sea for a few years and had learned a lot from the black-robed men. It seems like one can only break out by constantly improving my strength, Lu Ming said. With his current ability, it was obvious that he could not break out. After that, the two of them chatted for a long time. Lu Ming then went to one side, sat cross-legged, and began to cultivate. A few days later, Lu Ming went to challenge the checkpoint again. He was still no match for the two middle-aged burly men and was forced back. After returning, Lu Ming continued to cultivate. After a few days, he would attempt it again. In this way, Lu Ming's improvement was very fast. However, there was one thing that worried Lu Ming. He had seen Xian Yanqing frowning a few times and a flash of pain in his eyes. But when he asked Xian Yanqing, he said he was fine. However, Lu Ming could clearly sense the worry in Xian Yanqing's eyes. Little Qing, is there anything you and one can't say? If there's anything, you must tell me. Lu Ming walked to Xian Yanqing's side and hugged her gently. Xian Yanqing suddenly wrapped his arms around Lu Ming's neck and whispered in his ear, Lu Ming, I want to bear your child. Chapter 2070, The First Time. Chapter 2070, The First Time, Oh. Lu Ming was stunned. What's wrong? You're not willing to? Xian Yanqing's voice rang in her ears again. Of course I'm willing. Lu Ming quickly replied. He would be a fool if he was unwilling. He immediately took action. Soon, the sound of heavy breathing could be heard in the valley. At this moment, they had completely forgotten themselves and only had each other in their eyes. This battle lasted for a full hour before it stopped. Despite their high cultivation levels, they were still drenched in sweat. Xian Yanqing lay in Lu Ming's arms, hugging him tightly. He did not say a word and was unwilling to let go. After a long time, a wooden figure suddenly appeared in Xian Yanqing's hand. It was black all over, like a doll. Lu Ming, this is a scapegoat demon puppet. It can die once if you are in mortal danger. Take it. Xian Yanqing passed the doll to Lu Ming. Scapegoat demon puppet, is it a scapegoat? Lu Ming was shocked. There was actually such a treasure in the world. Wasn't this equivalent to having an extra life? If this were to be spread out, it would probably cause a crazy fight because it was too precious. This depends on the cultivation level. It is useless for those above the martial emperor realm to use the scapegoat demon puppet. Only those below the martial emperor realm will use it. Xian Yanqing said. Little Qing, you can keep it for yourself. Lu Ming said. I still have some for myself, you can keep it. Xian Yanqing stared at Lu Ming with wide eyes. That's good. Since Xian Yanqing still had more, Lu Ming did not reject and kept the magic puppet. Following that, Lu Ming's hand started to move again. He only stopped after a while. Little Qing, you're so beautiful. Lu Ming said gently. Have you said this to anyone else before? Of course not. Little Qing, let's continue. Didn't one already come? How is giving birth once enough? A gentle voice rang out, and the valley was filled with warmth. They did not know how many rounds they fought. In the end, even with Lu Ming's cultivation, he felt exhausted. He just lay down and fell asleep. Xian Yanqing was the same. He lay down beside Lu Ming and fell into a deep sleep. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming suddenly woke up from his sleep. This was because he felt a cold, killing intent engulf him. This was his instinctive vigilance. He circulated his saint power and retreated far away. He took out a piece of clothing from his storage ring and put it on. Then he looked forward. In front of her, Xian Yanqing was wearing a long black dress. Her beauty was unparalleled. However, at this moment, her eyes were extremely cold. They were filled with cold, killing intent as she stared at Lu Ming coldly. Lu Ming's heart trembled. He was unfamiliar with the look in Xian Yanqing's eyes. Xian Yanqing had never looked at him with such a look. Little Qing, what's wrong? Lu Ming could not help but ask as he stepped forward. Kill! Xian Yanqing said in a cold voice. A dark demonic light emanated from her body and turned into a dark demonic sword. Her figure was like a fleeting shadow as she charged at Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. The pitch-black sword gleam slashed toward Lu Ming, aiming for his vital points. Little Qing, what are you doing? Lu Ming shouted. At the same time, he circulated his saint energy and controlled the laws of chaos to form a defensive wall in front of him. However, to Lu Ming's shock, Xian Yanqing's demonic sword tore apart Lu Ming's defensive wall. The defensive wall formed by the laws of chaos appeared to be very fragile under Xian Yanqing's sword radiance. Lu Ming was very shocked. Xian Yanqing's sword did not stop and continued to slash at Lu Ming's glabella. He was not just saying it. He really wanted to kill Lu Ming. Xian Yanqing was completely different from his passionate self yesterday. Yesterday, Xian Yanqing was passionate and gentle as he wanted to bear Lu Ming's child. But today, he had drawn his sword to kill Lu Ming. His killing intent was as cold as a knife. Yanqing, stop. What's the matter? Speak clearly. Go. Lu Ming shouted and burst out the light of chaos at the same time. With a wave of his hand, the shadow of the prison-suppressing steel emerged and blocked in front of him. The phantom of the prison-suppressing steel was covered with chaotic laws and chaotic light, which had amazing defensive power. However, when Xian Yanqing's sword radiance struck, the chaotic light trembled violently and was torn apart. Lu Ming was shocked and he retreated rapidly. This power, Lu Ming's gaze was solemn. Xian Yanqing's power didn't contain any nomological power. Instead, it contained extremely condensed demonic power and extremely powerful offensive power. This land of power was very similar to the power cultivated by the ancient devil. Lu Ming had fought with the ancient devil before and he could clearly feel it. However, Xian Yanqing's power was purer, more condensed, and more powerful than the ancient devil's power. Lowly ant, you dare to insult me? Kill. Xian Yanqing shouted. His killing intent was at its peak. Demonic light filled the air, and the sword radiance glowed as he continued to charge at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's heart trembled. His pupils contracted and he shouted, Who are you? You're not Little Qing. Xian Yanqing would never use such a tone to call him a lowly ant. However, the aura of the person in front of him was clearly Xian Yanqing. What was going on? Could it be that Xian Yanqing was possessed? Xian Yanqing is me. Xian Yanqing said coldly. The sword light did not stop and continued to attack Lu Ming. Lu Ming used all his strength and cast a fusion of chaos laws, array laws, and even death laws to fight Xian Yanqing. At the same time, all sorts of thoughts were running through his mind. That's not right. Looking at the situation, it doesn't seem like he has been possessed. What's going on? After being possessed, one's soul would be destroyed and would lose its consciousness. However, Xian Yanqing had his own consciousness, so it was impossible for him to be possessed. Could it be related to the ancient demonic coffin? But I've never heard of such a thing happening when using the ancient demon coffin. Could it be related to the power in Little Qing's body? Lu Ming was reminded of the power in Xian Yanqing's body. In the past, he had always felt that there was a terrifying power hidden in Xian Yanqing's body. In the past, Lu Ming had thought that it was because Xian Yanqing had great potential. Now that he thought about it, the situation was not right. There was another person in the same situation, Xian Yanjuan. Lu Ming could also sense a terrifying power lurking in Xian Yanjin's body. Furthermore, Lu Ming also recalled that the Xian Yanjuan now was very different from the Xian Yanjuan back in the Divine Wilderness continent. Initially, Xian Yanjuan wanted to kill him. However, after they arrived in the Yuan continent, Xian Yanjuan did not seem to have this intention. Instead, he wanted to cooperate with him. Want to gift the story? Try one. Chapter 2071. Chapter 2071, 1,000 Doubts. Chapter 2071. Chapter 2071, 1,000 Doubts. Lu Ming thought about it carefully and realized that Xian Yanjin's personality had indeed changed greatly. Were all these similar to Xian Yanqing's current situation? At the same time, he also thought about how he had seen Xian Yanqing's painful expression all this time. Could all of this be related? Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He did not stop and pointed two fingers at Xian Yanqing. This was because Xian Yanqing was too strong. His demonic power could break through all obstacles and destroy everything. The combined force of Lu Ming's few laws seemed to be difficult to resist and was about to be torn apart. Little Official's cultivation looks like it's in the great circle of the absolute saint stage, similar to mine. But what kind of power is this? Could it also be a power cultivated by the primordial diabolism? Lu Ming had a thought and pointed his finger. This finger contained the laws of chaos, array Dao laws and death laws. The huge finger pointed at Xian Yanqing's sword light. Xian Yanqing's sword radiance slashed down, and even the space around it cracked. It was too shocking. The sword radiance slashed on the huge finger and broke it. Little Qing, wake up! Lu Ming roared. He didn't believe that Xian Yanqing would really kill him. Lowly ant, you've tainted my body. You deserve to die. Xian Yanqing spoke again, his expression cold. The demonic light on her body grew stronger, and it was as if there was an endless stream of energy flowing out of her body. The cold sword light continued to attack Lu Ming. Her sword light was even stronger than before. The sword light flashed and illuminated the valley. Although Lu Ming had used all his strength, he was still no match for Xian Yanqing. The fusion of three types of laws could not withstand Xian Yanqing's sword radiance and was torn apart by it. Lu Ming's body was cut by the sword light and a deep wound appeared. It was so deep that his bones could be seen. Blood flowed out and dyed his clothes red. The moment Lu Ming was injured, Xian Yanqing's gaze finally wavered. Her figure slightly paused and stopped. Kill him. He has defiled me. One must kill him. Xian Yanqing shouted, as if he was talking to himself. Her eyes turned cold again. She raised her sword and charged at Lu Ming. The sword light was like a rainbow, cutting through the sky. However, this time, Lu Ming did not move or block it. He let the sword radiance stab at him. Seeing that the sword light was about to pierce through Lu Ming's heart, Xian Yanqing's eyes showed signs of struggle. No! She shouted and moved her wrist. The sword gleam deviated slightly and pierced through Lu Ming's chest. However, it had already deviated from the position of his heart. Shaoqing, if you want to kill, 111 let you kill. If you're pregnant with our child, take good care of him in the future. Lu Ming smiled and looked at Xian Yanqing gently. Kill him. No. Xian Yanqing continued to shout. It sounded like two people were talking, but it was clearly only one person's voice. The struggle in Xian Yanqing's eyes grew stronger. Even his beautiful face started to twist. Little Qing, what's wrong with you? Lu Ming shouted. Xian Yangqing's condition was obviously not right. It was as if there were two people in his body. Lu Ming, take care. In the end, Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming tenderly, turned around, and left. Like a rainbow, he rushed into the depths of the canyon. A few rumbles came from the valley, but the rumbles disappeared in the next moment. Little Qing! Lu Ming shouted. The sword gleam that stabbed into Lu Ming's body was condensed by Xian Yangqing's demonic energy. It had already dissipated. Lu Ming rushed into the depths of the canyon. However, when Lu Ming had run a distance away, two middle-aged burly men appeared and attacked him. Lu Ming was blocked and could not rush over at all. In the end, he was struck back by the two middle-aged burly men. What's going on? What's going on? At this moment, he was extremely anxious and his heart was filled with endless questions. However, he was blocked and couldn't rush over at all. He couldn't find Xian Yanqing and couldn't ask him what was going on. It must be related to the power in Little Qing's body. What is it? Xian Yanjuan also has one. Also, those black-robed men purposely stole the ancient demonic coffin and placed Little Qing in it. Could it be related to this? The next time one sees Xian Yanjuan, one must ask him clearly. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. He was really a little afraid. He was afraid that Xian Yanqing would no longer be the Xian Yanqing he used to be and that he would become another person. Xian Yanqing had broken through several levels in a row. The strength he had displayed was shocking. She only stopped after breaking through a few levels. Why didn't you let me kill him? He has tainted us. Xian Yangqing's voice was cold and murderous. If you kill him, 111 kill myself. Then, Xian Yanqing muttered to himself. Why are you so persistent? You are me and 1AMU. Let us merge completely and return to the supreme realm. Why are you trapped in this small world? No, you are you, I am me. One will never merge with you, never. Xian Yanqing seemed to be talking to himself. Then, his body moved and he rushed out of the canyon. Soon, his figure completely disappeared. Lu Ming sat on a black rock, deep in thought. He thought about it a lot, but he still couldn't think of an answer. As long as I'm strong enough, he'll definitely understand everything and restore Little Qing to her original state. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. Slowly, his heart calmed down. Lu Ming had experienced too much along the way. He was very clear that it was useless to be anxious when he encountered something. It was better to calm down and improve his strength. Lu Ming closed his eyes and sat there quietly. 3 days later, Lu Ming opened his eyes. His gaze had become calm. Then, Lu Ming took out the path-understanding ancient tree and sat cross-legged under it to study the law of death. Now, the path-understanding ancient tree was already 10 meters tall. Its branches and leaves were flourishing, and a mysterious light surrounded the branches. It was extremely mysterious. All these years, Lu Ming had spent a great price to cultivate the path-understanding ancient tree. As expected, the path-understanding ancient tree had improved greatly. Comprehending nomological laws under the Tao comprehension ancient tree would yield twice the result with half the effort. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. Lu Ming's death precept had improved very quickly. At the same time, his integration with the other 2 types of precepts had also become more thorough. His strength was increasing every day. This time, he successfully passed through the 2 middle-aged men and continued to move forward. However, this time, 3 middle-aged men appeared in front of him. The 3 of them joined forces to fight Lu Ming. Lu Ming was blocked again, so he could only stop and continue to improve his strength. At this moment, Lu Ming had an idea. He waved his hand and the ancient demon coffin appeared in the canyon. In the ancient demonic coffin, Qiu Yu's body exuded a powerful aura. After a few months, Qiu Yu finally showed some changes. In the past, the people from Vientiane Tower had said that Qiu Yu would wake up after staying in the eternal demonic coffin for a month. However, in reality, 3 months had passed. And NBSP Hu, at this moment, a powerful suction force erupted from Qiu Yu's body. The energy of the world quickly surged towards Qiu Yu. He's about to break through? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He then took out a large number of raw gemstones and blasted them apart, turning them into billowing original chi that gathered towards Qiuyu. Chapter 2072. Emperor to be Qiuyu. Chapter 2072. Emperor to be Qiuyu. Origin energy gathered towards Qiuyu, and her aura became stronger and stronger. Absolute saint peak, absolute saint perfection. In a short period of time, Qiuyu's aura skyrocketed. Gradually, Qiuyu's body floated up and flew out of the ancient demonic coffin. Buzz. Suddenly, a layer of light appeared on Qiuyu's body. That was the light of law. Lu Ming was shocked. Qiuyu had been unconscious all this while and her soul was incomplete. He did not expect her to be able to refine the light of law. This was really unbelievable. However, this did not stop. Qiuyu's aura was still rising. The aura of the laws of yin and yang emanated from her body. Suddenly, the laws of yin and yang converged into a long river and swam around Qiuyu's body. Her aura rose again. Laws forming a river, emperor to be. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Qiuyu had been unconscious for a while, but she had broken through to the emperor to be realm. Indeed, during this period of time, Lu Ming had condensed a huge amount of sacred elixirs into Qiuyu's body. However, the laws could not be improved just by consuming sacred elixirs. They needed to be understood. Qiuyu was unconscious, so how could she comprehend laws? Lu Ming was very puzzled. When her aura reached emperor to be, it finally calmed down. At this time, Qiuyu opened her eyes. 2 rays of light shot out from Qiuyu's eyes. In the next moment, they were retracted. Then Qiuyu's aura was retracted. Young master! When Qiuyu saw Lu Ming, she cheered and pounced into his arms. Qiuyu, you're finally awake. Lu Ming touched Qiuyu's head and a smile appeared on his face. He finally felt a little better. Young master, are you all right? Those people wanted to kill you back then. 11 Qiuyu looked around nervously. Her memory was still stuck in the Lotus world. It's all right, it's been a long time. Lu Ming smiled. A long time has passed? Qiuyu was suspicious and blinked her big eyes. Lu Ming briefly recounted what had happened during this period of time. Of course, there were some things that he directly skipped, such as Xian Yanqing. It's been so long? Have I been unconscious all this time? Strange, I've been feeling like I'm in a strange state, being wrapped by the laws of yin and yang. I've been in a daze, but suddenly, a warm force wrapped around me from behind. Qiuyu began. Could it be a soul enlightenment? Lu Ming's heart stirred. When it came to enlightenment, it was a rare state of cultivation. Lu Ming speculated that after Qiuyu's soul was injured, she had entered a state of enlightenment. This state was extremely rare and she would unconsciously continue to comprehend the Tao and the laws. Her body had been tempered by the alchemy fire in the Dian elixir furnace and smelted countless sacred herbs. That was why her cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds after she woke up. Not only had she refined the light of law, but she had also broken through to the emperor to be realm. Or perhaps, the ancient demonic coffin had also played a role. Truly, fortune and misfortune come together, and the world is unpredictable. Lu Ming was happy for Qiuyu. Qiuyu, your current cultivation has already surpassed young masters. Lu Ming said with a smile. But I'm sure that Qiuyu is no match for young master. Qiuyu stuck out her tongue, tugged at Lu Ming and talked non-stop. In the following days, the two of them cultivated while challenging the levels. This place was very mysterious. When Lu Ming and Qiuyu were walking together, they would see 6 middle-aged men in front of them, causing Lu Ming to retreat in shock. Although Qiuyu had reached the emperor to be realm, she couldn't even fight 1 middle-aged man, let alone 3. It was obviously impossible for 2 of them to break through the pass together. Therefore, Qiuyu would enter the mountain and river diagram every time they tried to pass through the levels. This way, there would only be 3 middle-aged strong men. As time passed, Lu Ming's comprehension of the death law became higher and higher. Another month had passed. Lu Ming had been in the canyon for 4 months. At this moment, Lu Ming's mastery of the death precept had reached 50%. When combined with other laws, Lu Ming was already on par with the three middle-aged men. He could even suppress them. Fighting with these middle-aged men had improved Lu Ming's speed. Here, one could kill to their heart's content without any apprehension. Every time, Lu Ming would unleash his combat strength to the extreme and continuously squeeze out his potential. At this time, Lu Ming would occasionally let Qiu Yu go forward to challenge the levels. Lu Ming did his best to deal with 5 middle-aged men, while Qiu Yu dealt with 1. This way, Qiu Yu's improvement would be huge. Time flew by quickly, and another month passed. The two of them had quite a bit of harvest every day. On this day, Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the path-understanding ancient tree, cultivating with his eyes closed. Suddenly, endless runes appeared around his body. Countless runes began to gather, forming a long river. River of Laws. This was the Array Dao Law. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming's Array Dao laws had broken through and entered the perfect realm. The laws condensed into a river. At that moment, the power of the Array Dao law coursed through Lu Ming's body and began to temper his physical body. Once the laws formed a river, the corresponding power of laws would once again flow through the body and use the power of laws to temper the body, making the body even stronger. At the same time, the saint energy would also become more condensed and dense. This was also the reason why an emperor to be expert was so much stronger than an expert in the great circle of the absolute saint realm. Lu Ming's body emitted a stir-like sound. It was the vibration of his muscles and the collision of his bones. Qiu Yu sat cross-legged not far away, waiting quietly. A day later, Lu Ming finally ended his cultivation and the river of laws disappeared without a trace. "I'm now an emperor to be." Lu Ming smiled. Right now, he couldn't figure out his specific realm. According to the laws of chaos, he was still in the great circle of the absolute saint stage. However, according to the laws of Array Dao, he was already an emperor to be. But no matter what, his combat strength had indeed increased by a large margin. When the formation path law formed a river, its power increased greatly. At the same time, when the law formed a river, it tempered the body and saint power, and both were improved. One wonder how much my body and saint power will improve when the chaos laws and even the death laws form a river. Lu Ming was filled with anticipation. The river formed by each law would greatly improve the physical body and saint power. If all of his nomological laws formed a river, how much would his combat strength increase? Lu Ming was certain that no one was his match in a battle of the same level. He could even suppress the Son of God with a flip of his hand. What if I comprehend a few more nomological laws? At the thought of this, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. If he comprehended a few more nomological laws, his nomological laws would form a river, and he would be even more terrifying. The more he thought about it, the more excited Lu Ming became. He pondered what law he should comprehend next. Chapter 2073, Comprehended 4 Types of Laws. Chapter 2073, Comprehended 4 Types of Laws. Lu Ming pondered for a while and decided to start with the law of devouring. The law of devouring was also a powerful king path law. Moreover, the 9 dragons had the devouring power in their bodies. Lu Ming was very familiar with the devouring power. Comprehending the law of devouring was definitely faster than comprehending other laws. Moreover, Lu Ming had a kind of ambition. Since he wanted to understand the laws, he had to understand the king path laws and above. It would be a waste of time to understand the ordinary laws. After all, ordinary laws and chaos laws could be changed directly. Lu Ming controlled his physical body, and a dragon's roar came from within. At the same time, a terrifying devouring power burst out. Lu Ming sensed it carefully and tried to comprehend the law of devouring from the devouring power. Indeed, a few days later, Lu Ming found the way and had some insights. A few days later, Lu Ming had successfully learned the rudiments and had comprehended a trace of the law of devouring. His saint heart had indeed contained many laws, and it was not affected at all. Lu Ming was extremely excited. All of these were things that could only be done by those above the martial emperor realm. However, he was doing it now. Once he broke through to the martial emperor realm in the future, His cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. There would be no shackles, and his improvement would be extremely shocking. It was worth it to spend time comprehending it now. Young master, you're really amazing. You've already mastered 4 types of nomological laws. Qiuyu walked over. Even though she had always admired Lu Ming, she could not help but look surprised. It was unheard of for a person below the rank of a martial supreme to control 4 types of nomological laws at the same time, and 2 of them were even ultimate nomological laws. Qiuyu, let's go. Lu Ming smiled. Qiuyu nodded, and the 2 of them walked forward. The 6 middle-aged men appeared at the same time and attacked Lu Ming and his partner. Kill! Lu Ming let out a long howl. The laws of chaos, the laws of death, and the laws of array Dao fused together. Lu Ming cast the chaos finger of calamity, pointing 5 times in a row. Qiuyu charged at the 6th middle-aged man. Whoosh, whoosh. The dazzling saber light was aimed at Lu Ming and Qiuyu. Qiuyu successfully blocked one of them. And NBSP 5 saber lights struck the primal chaos tribulation finger. Boom, boom. With 5 consecutive explosions, the blade light shattered and the 5 middle-aged men were forced back. Bang! Lu Ming stepped forward and unleashed his full combat strength, launching a storm of attacks at the 5 middle-aged men. The breakthrough in the array Dao laws had increased Lu Ming's combat strength by a large margin. He was completely suppressing the 5 middle-aged men. After a dozen or so moves, a finger force pierced through the middle of a middle-aged man's eyebrows, killing him and turning him into energy. After killing one of them, the remaining 4 were even less of a match for Lu Ming. After a few moves, Lu Ming killed another one. Bang, bang. Following that, the remaining middle-aged men were all killed by Lu Ming, including the middle-aged man who was fighting with Qiuyu. After passing this level, the 2 of them continued forward and passed through this area. There was nothing in front of him, no one. Lu Ming sighed slightly. He knew that Xian Yanqing had probably already passed the checkpoint and left this place. Qiuyu, wait here. I'll go up and test the waters. Lu Ming said. Then all right. Be careful, young master. Qiuyu said. Lu Ming nodded and stepped forward. After walking for a while, another figure appeared. This time, only one figure appeared. It wasn't a middle-aged man, but a young man. This person looked to be in his 20s. His body was straight like a spear and he had a black demonic sword on his back. Only the strongest can pass. Show me your strength. The young man said coldly as he unsheathed his sword. Lu Ming also stepped forward and used the finger of chaotic tribulation to fight with his opponent. This young man's combat strength was shocking. He should be in the Emperor-to-be realm, but he was probably even stronger than the Son of God. However, they were still not as strong as the previous 5 middle-aged men. Between 3 middle-aged men and 5 middle-aged men, they were still not Lu Ming's match. After more than 20 moves, the young man was defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming and Qiuyu moved forward and passed through the area. However, the canyon seemed to be very long. Looking forward, it was extremely deep. After passing through this area, Lu Ming continued to move forward alone. This time, 2 young men appeared at once. The 2 young men's combat strength increased exponentially when they joined forces. Although Lu Ming gave it his all, they ended up in a draw and he did not manage to clear the trial. It seems that it's really difficult to break out. Lu Ming was a little speechless. At the same time, he was also shocked. The difficulty of this demonic force in the heaven realm's test of its disciples was simply abnormal. Even the Son of God would not be able to pass this level of difficulty. Lu Ming's current combat strength had definitely surpassed a Son of God who was at the Emperor-to-be realm. However, he still could not make it. My attacks are still limited. My strongest attack is the Chaos Finger, but it's more suitable for long-range attacks. It's not as good for close combat. One need to learn 1 or 2 more divine abilities. Lu Ming pondered. The chaotic scripture contained many techniques regarding the chaotic laws. Naturally, the chaotic tribulation finger was not the only technique. And NBSP, but in the past, cultivating the primal chaos tribulation finger was enough. Divine power techniques and nomological laws complement each other. Comprehending a divine power technique and continuously cultivating it can increase one's comprehension of nomological laws and increase one's mastery. Therefore, it might not be beneficial to comprehend a few more magical powers. Instead, it might distract him. However, it was different now. Lu Ming had almost comprehended the chaos laws to the limit. There would be no obstacles in cultivating other magical powers. He would be able to cultivate to the peak in a short time. In the Chaos Scripture, Lu Ming chose to cultivate a remarkable power technique called the Chaos Divine Palm. After successfully cultivating the Chaos Divine Palm, one's palm would be like chaos. Every palm strike was like a Chaos Divine mountain pressing down. It was so powerful that it could penetrate the earth and blow up mountains. Now, Lu Ming's law of chaos was almost at 99%. His speed of cultivating the Chaos Divine Palm was like a rocket. In just a few days, he had cultivated to the limit. Its power was not the slightest bit inferior to the primal Chaos Tribulation Finger, especially when it was fused with several laws. Its power was even more astonishing. With one more attack method, Lu Ming put aside the divine power art for the time being and focused on comprehending a few laws. Qiu Yu was also cultivating hard. After becoming an emperor-to-be, one needed to accumulate and then completely integrate the Dharma into the Saint Heart. With the Dharma as the foundation and the Saint Heart as the material, the world would be developed. This step was extremely difficult. Many people were stuck in the emperor-to-be realm for their entire lives. It wasn't something that could be completed in a day. Time passed by quickly. Other than cultivating, Lu Ming would be challenging the levels. Both of them had gained a lot. Lu Ming had been in the canyon for more than 2 years. It had been more than 2.5 years since Lu Ming came to the land of infinite demons. It was less than half a year before the 10 Lands battle. At this moment, Lu Ming finally arrived at the last stage of the canyon. The exit of the canyon could be seen in front of them. It was a door of light. Chapter 2074. Chapter 2074, Escape. Chapter 2074. Chapter 2074 Escape. There was only one figure guarding the last pass of the canyon. He was also a young man, but his combat strength was unbelievably strong. Boom, boom. In the canyon, 2 figures were engaged in a fierce battle, constantly bombarding each other. Lu Ming's entire body was covered in the light of chaos. His palms turned gray as if they were cast from chaos stone and were indestructible. This was the primal Chaos Divine Palm, and every palm strike was earth-shattering. Furthermore, the palm was fused with other nomological laws, making it extremely powerful. However, the young man was able to fight Lu Ming. He was also performing a terrifying palm technique that kept clashing with Lu Ming. Boom, boom. The wind from the palms scraped off a layer of the rocks on the ground. One must know that the rocks here were extremely hard. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them had exchanged over 100 moves. Is this the place where the great forces of the heaven realm tested their disciples in the ancient times? This difficulty is too great. Lu Ming was also extremely shocked. After more than 2 years of cultivation, Lu Ming's chaos laws had long reached 99%. However, it was very difficult to cross this step, cultivate perfectly, and form a river of laws. He needed to accumulate. Although the laws of chaos were not perfect yet, Lu Ming felt that it would be soon. In addition, the law of death was already 80% complete, while the law of devouring had caught up and reached 90%. Lu Ming did not have the corresponding divine ability for the death rule and the devour rule. They could not complement each other, and his cultivation speed was naturally much slower. However, since Lu Ming's current realm was profound and he had been in constant battles. After the battles, he had also comprehended under the path understanding ancient tree. His speed of improvement was extremely fast. 99% chaos law, perfect array Dao law, 80% death law, and 90% devour law. The combination of 2 ultimate maxims and 2 king path maxims, in addition to Lu Ming's powerful spirit body and thick saint energy, was so powerful that Lu Ming found it difficult to gauge his current combat strength. However, with such combat power, it was still not easy to pass the stage. One could see that the difficulty of this canyon's trial was truly astonishing. Could it be that there were so many terrifying heaven's favorites in the ancient times? Then, Lu Ming thought of Xian Yanqing. There was no trace of Xian Yanqing. Obviously, Xian Yanqing had already passed the test. Xian Yanqing's combat power was shocking. How did she suddenly have such combat power? Lu Ming had many doubts in his heart. Bang, bang. In the blink of an eye, another few dozen moves had passed. Lu Ming finally gained the upper hand and began to suppress his opponent. With 4 laws fused, a casual palm could pierce through the void and tear space apart. Gotcha! The other party's palm made a cracking sound and was broken by Lu Ming's palm. Devouring, sealing, death. In an instant, Lu Ming circulated 4 types of laws and countless runes, enveloping his opponent in an attempt to seal him. At the same time, he bombarded his opponent with the power of destruction. Then, there was the law of devouring, which wanted to devour everything about the other party. At the same time, the law of death enveloped the other party, forming a death cage that wanted to pull the other party into the abyss of death. Finally, he used the laws of chaos as his main attack. Bang! Lu Ming's palm landed on the other party's body. The other party's body was penetrated by a terrifying force and finally shattered into pieces. It was a success. Lu Ming finally reached the end and cleared the last level. According to Xian Yanqing, only the strongest below the martial supreme realm could pass it. However, to Lu Ming, he was far from the peak. His other nomological laws had yet to form a river. Young master, you're amazing. Qiu Yu walked over, her eyes shining. Qiu Yu herself had long cultivated to the emperor-to-be realm and had also cultivated the light of law. However, she felt that her combat strength was far from Lu Ming's. Let's go out. Lu Ming smiled. He walked over and held Qiu Yu's hand as they stepped into the door of light. The next moment, they appeared on the peak of a mountain. This place seems to have already left the demonic sea. Lu Ming looked into the distance. The mountains around him were continuous and full of vitality, unlike the dead silence in the demonic sea. I wonder where this place is in the land of Myriad demons. I'll go and find out, Lu Ming said. Then he and Qiu Yu turned into 2 streaks of rainbow light and left the place. After flying for some distance, they saw a city. The 2 of them went in and asked around. So this place is in the Eternal Devil Nation. And it's not far from the capital of the Eternal Devil Nation. Lu Ming muttered. He was planning to head to the capital of the ancient Devil Nation to return the ancient demon coffin to the ancient emperor. Even though the ancient demon coffin was precious, it was still the ancient Devil Nation's treasure. The ancient emperor valued it greatly. If he didn't return it, it would be equivalent to offending the ancient emperor and the countless experts of the ancient Devil Nation. It was clearly not a wise move to offend the Eternal Devil Nation over a single ancient devil coffin. Since Qiu Yu had already woken up, he had no use for the eternal demonic coffin for the time being. Also, he was just about to take the teleportation formation back to the Yuan Mountains. After flying for an entire day, they finally arrived at the capital of the Eternal Devil Nation. Back then, Lu Ming had defeated the ancient devil and was very famous. When he came to pay his respects to the ancient emperor, someone naturally went in to report. Very soon, Lu Ming saw the ancient emperor. Lu Ming, you're actually fine. The ancient emperor was shocked to see Lu Ming. In the past few years, he had sent a large number of experts and other great emperors into the demonic sea to attack the black-robed men. He had even sent emperor-to-be into the canyon. However, those emperors-to-be were like stones sinking into the sea. They never came out after entering. It was normal. An ordinary emperor-to-be would have been killed by the guards at the first level. By then, Lu Ming would have passed a few levels and no one would have seen him. Therefore, the ancient emperor was naturally very surprised to see Lu Ming. He used to think that Lu Ming had most likely met with a mishap. I was lucky to escape. Great Emperor, I'm here to return the ancient demon coffin to you, Lu Ming said. Then he waved his hand and the ancient demon coffin appeared in the hall. It's really the ancient demonic coffin. The ancient emperor was overjoyed. He had put in so much effort and paid a huge price, But he still could not get the eternal demonic coffin back. Now that Lu Ming had it back, he was naturally happy. The ancient emperor kept the ancient demonic coffin with a smile on his face. He then looked at Xiao Yu and said, "Lu Ming, this little girl is the one you want to save, right?" "It is." Lu Ming said. Not bad, you're loyal and affectionate." "Lu Ming, I won't forget the fact that you've helped me retrieve the eternal demonic coffin. If you need help in the future, I'll do my best to help you." The ancient emperor laughed. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Lu Ming was overjoyed. Returning the ancient demonic coffin to the ancient emperor was indeed a wise choice. The ancient emperor was a great emperor and the master of the ancient demon nation. He was too powerful. The value of him helping Lu Ming once was immeasurable. Chapter 2075. Chapter 2075, Heading to the Divine Land. Chapter 2075. Chapter 2075 Heading to the Divine Land. After returning the eternal demonic coffin to the eternal emperor, Lu Ming and Ming Yu took the teleportation formation and returned to Mount Yuan. Of course, it was impossible to teleport directly to Mount Yuan. Instead, they were teleported to a place close to Mount Yuan. Lu Ming and Xiao Yu flew to Mount Yuan. Half a month later, they finally returned to ancient Moon Holy Land. The Great Yen Elixir Hall was completely empty. Uncle Kong wasn't present. Lu Ming went to the Phoenix Palace to ask for information. He learned that the Phoenix Palace Master had already brought some people to the Divine Land. He also learned that Huang Ling, Long Chen, Huang Li, and the others had all ended their seclusion and were heading towards the Divine Fated Land. However, the other party told him that the sons of God should still be in seclusion, but the great emperors would send them to the Divine Land. Lu Ming speculated that the few sons of God should be Bubbles, Ouyang Moli, and Xiang. It seems like he'll have to head to the Divine Fated Land too. Lu Ming pondered. Some of them had already gone to the Divine Land, and the great emperors would send some of them over, so he didn't need to worry. After resting for 2 days in Guyu Sanctuary, Lu Ming and Xiao Yu set off for the Divine Fated Land. It was impossible to go to the Divine Land directly by the teleportation formation, because it was too far and there were special reasons. The two of them went through several teleportations and arrived at the edge of the Yuan Mountain. The Divine Land was located in the middle of the Yuan continent, and it was very special, because he was surrounded by the Ring Sea. It was as if a piece of land had been smashed down by an incomparably huge ring, piercing through the earth. That ring had become a ring sea, and the part inside the ring was the Divine Land. Apart from the barren lands of the Endless Islands, the other 8 lands were all on the outskirts of the Ring Sea. They surrounded the Divine Land. The Divine Land was undoubtedly the largest, most vast, and most powerful region among the 10 lands of the primordial realm. It was said that the Divine Land was the total area of the other 8 lands, excluding the Forsaken Land. One could imagine how large the Divine Land was. The Divine Land was filled with outstanding people and all kinds of races. There were many sects and ancient clans, and countless forces. The Desolate race, in the distant past, was also a powerful ancient race in the Divine Fated Land. With such prosperity, there were naturally countless geniuses. Especially now that it was the Golden Age, no one knew how many geniuses had been born in the Divine Land. There were probably many top-notch sons of heaven. This time, the Battle of the 10 Lands would be held in the City of Destiny in the Land of the Divine Fate. In other places, if one wanted to go to the Divine Land, they had to pass through the Ring Sea. However, the Ring Sea was too wide, and the environment was extremely harsh. On the Ring Sea, terrifying gales, raindrops, and lightning were commonplace. There were even some regions where space was extremely unstable, with terrifying spatial rifts and void storms appearing. It was too difficult and dangerous to fly across the Ring Sea. Therefore, some powerful forces in the Divine Land developed a kind of warship that could travel across the sea. These warships knew some special routes to avoid danger. Ordinary people who wanted to cross the Ring Sea and head to the Divine Land would have to take this kind of warship, so they naturally had to pay a huge amount of raw gemstones. This was also how the forces in the Divine Land earned raw gemstones. Especially during this period, countless people from other regions had gathered around the Ring Sea to head to the divine Fate Land. Every time the cross-sea battleships arrived, it would be full. Lu Ming and Qiu Yu arrived at a big city near the ocean. After asking around, they went to the ocean. Boom, boom, boom. Huge waves surged into the sky, deafening the ears. From a distance, the waves that were hundreds of meters high were hitting the coastline one after another. In the middle of the sea, there were a few huge ships. There were a few cross-sea battleships, each of which was tens of thousands of meters long and thousands of meters tall. The dense crowd boarded the cross-sea warship. The Battle of the 10 Lands had never happened before in history. This was the first time. Moreover, it was the golden age now, and the overwhelming prodigies were appearing frequently. The peak confrontation would take place in the divine fated land, which attracted too many people. Just Mount Yuan alone would have sent countless people into the land of divine destiny. Every day, a large number of people would board the cross-sea battleship and head toward the divine land. Lu Ming and Qiu Yu chose one at random. They paid a large number of raw stones and boarded a cross-sea warship. The cross-sea battleship was very large. It had many floors and many rooms. Everyone who boarded the battleship would be assigned a room. The two of them entered the room to cultivate and waited. A few days later, the battleship began to move and set off for the divine land. After the warship was activated, countless people rushed out of the rooms and came to the deck. The scenery around the ocean was magnificent and full of wondrous sights. Many people who were here for the first time naturally did not want to miss it. Lu Ming and Qiu Yu also came to the deck and looked around. Boom, boom, boom. The huge battleship braved the wind and waves, heading in the direction of the divine land at an amazing speed. Soon, it left the Yuan Mountain and entered the vast Ring Sea. Chila. In the distance, there was a violent storm and lightning that cut through the void as if it wanted to split the sky. However, a light shield rose on the ship, blocking the rain and wind. Voila! Not long after, they saw a huge creature appear on the surface of the sea. It was a sea beast and it was extremely huge. Although the environment around the Ring Sea was harsh, there were still some sea beasts that lived there, and their strength was also very shocking. Qiu Yu was very curious. She pulled Lu Ming and looked around, chattering nonstop. The journey to the divine fated land would take about half a month. Lu Ming and Qiu Yu were not in a hurry to cultivate. It was a good time to relax. In the demonic sea, in order to cross the canyon, Lu Ming had been cultivating every day. He had been jumping very tightly. Now was a good time to relax. He stood on the deck and looked at the endless sea, feeling broad-minded. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. More sea beasts have appeared, and there are quite a number of them. Strange, I've been encountering sea beasts a lot recently. I've heard from other experienced people that although there are sea beasts in the surrounding ocean, due to the harsh environment, there are not many of them. Usually, we would only encounter them by chance. However, we've encountered many of them these days, many of which are in groups. It is indeed strange. Some people were discussing and felt that it was a little strange, but they didn't think too much about it. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. Look, what's that? Not good. Those are sea beasts. There are so many sea beasts. What? Someone cried out in alarm. A dense group of sea beasts had appeared in front of the cross-sea warship, blocking its way. This forced the cross-sea warship to stop. Then, more sea beasts emerged from the sea around the cross-sea warship. The sea-crossing warship was surrounded by a dense number of sea beasts. Thump! Boom! On the warship, the sound of drums rang out. This was an alarm, indicating that they had encountered danger. Chapter 2076. Chapter 2076, Besieged by Sea Beasts. Chapter 2076. Chapter 2076, Besieged by Sea Beasts. The sound of the drums was deafening. Countless people rushed out of the rooms on the battleship and rushed to the deck. When they saw the countless sea beasts around them, their faces turned pale. What's going on? There aren't many sea beasts in the Ring Sea, and they rarely gather together to attack the warships. What's going on? Why are there so many sea beasts gathering all of a sudden? Some of the more experienced people cried out in alarm, their expressions extremely grave. Some people from the chambers of commerce often traveled between the two places and had never encountered such a situation. Everyone, the situation is bad. Prepare to face the enemy. A middle-aged man with a violent aura and a true emperor realm cultivation said. This man was the captain of the cross-sea battleship, an expert from a major force in the divine land. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, a giant pillar stretched out of the sea. It was hundreds of thousands of feet long and like a giant stick, it smashed toward the cross-sea warship. Boom. The giant stick struck the light shield of RHE cross-sea warship, causing it to shake violently. At this time, everyone realized that it was not a giant stick at all, but an octopus tentacle. Sure enough, next moment, the sea churned, and a huge monster emerged from the sea. It was a huge octopus, even bigger than a mountain and a cross-sea warship. Boom. Boom. The 8 tentacles of our octopus waved like 8 giant whips and whipped toward the cross-sea warship. The cross-sea warship shook violently as if it was going to be overturned at any moment. How did this happen? Countless people's faces turned pale. This octopus was definitely a terrifying existence. It should be a true emperor-level creature, and its aura was too strong. In addition, there were many powerful existences among the sea beasts in all directions. If the cross-sea warship was destroyed, they would be in danger when facing so many sea beasts and the harsh environment around the sea. Many people's faces turned pale. In the past, he had heard that it was very safe to take the cross-sea warship. There were very few accidents. Why did something happen the moment they took the warship? Evil creature, you're looking for death. The captain of the cross-sea battleship, the middle-aged man, shouted and rushed out of the light shield. A saber appeared in his hand and he slashed. A blade light, tens of thousands of feet long, cut through the void and slashed at the octopus. An octopus tentacle was cut off by the blade light, and its blood dyed the sea red. Golly! The octopus let out a strange roar, as if it was enraged. The remaining tentacles attacked the burly man. The burly man continued to slash out blade lights, fighting against the octopus. Both of them were extremely powerful beings with monstrous strength. It was difficult to determine the winner in a short time. Right at this moment, a heaven-shaking roar came from the sea. The water churned and another huge creature appeared. A true dragon. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. A huge creature appeared in the sea. It was actually a true dragon. It was a blue dragon. Its entire body was blue, and it was sparkling and resplendent. Its body was over 30,000 meters long. Its 2 huge eyes coldly looked at the cross-sea warship, and its terrifying aura made people tremble. He was also a powerful true emperor. Senior, why are you attacking us? Can you let us go? A young man stepped forward and spoke to the true dragon. Then, the young man's body began to change. He was also a true dragon. In the land of Mount Yuan, there were countless spiritual elegant mountain peaks, and naturally, there were some true dragons living there. However, the huge true dragon in the sea didn't give in. It roared and attacked the cross-sea warship. Boom. As the blue true dragon stepped forward, the sea water roared and turned into water pillars, blasting toward the sea-crossing warship. The cross-sea battleship shook, and the light shield kept shaking. If this continued, it would not be able to hold for long. However, what made them feel despair was that another giant creature appeared in another direction. It was a shark and it was extremely huge. It was no weaker than the true dragon, and it also attacked the trans-sea warship. Everyone now, let's all run for our lives. The cross-sea battleship was a powerful force in the divine land. Naturally, there were many people on the battleship. At this moment, an elder, who was also a powerful existence, spoke. Boom. Boom. The cross-sea battleship kept shaking, and finally, with a bang, the defensive shield was broken. The true dragon let out a long roar and stepped on RHC. Its mountain-like dragon claws grabbed at the cross-sea battleship and tore a piece of the ship. The old man charged at the true dragon. However, the shark crashed into the warship, almost breaking it apart. At the same time, countless sea beasts roared and charged over from all directions. Run! Run, run, run! On the cross-sea battleship, countless people rushed in all directions. Lu Ming and Qiu Yu also rushed down from the sea-crossing warship at the first moment and rushed toward the depths of our sea. Gah! The sea beasts let out all sorts of strange cries. He realized that the powerful ones among the sea beasts had their eyes on the beings on the warship at once. Many of RHE beings above the rank of Martial Supreme were fighting with each other. On the other hand, the sea beasts below the Martial Supreme realm attacked the people or divine beasts below the Martial Supreme realm. A chaotic battle broke out on the sea's surface. It was extremely tragic. People kept screaming and falling into our sea, dying here forever. Of course, there were also sea beasts that were killed, and their blood stained the sea. Chiyue, you enter the mountain and river diagram first. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Qiu Yu. Qiu Yu nodded. She knew that her abilities were far inferior to Lu Ming's. It would be more convenient for Lu Ming to move alone. After storing Qiu Yu into RHE mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming flew toward the depths of RHE Ring Sea. A huge silver swordfish, like a divine sword, lulled a human absolute saint and charged at Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming struck out with his palm and killed the swordfish. Its body was torn into pieces. However, more sea beasts pounced at Lu Ming from all directions. Lu Ming waved his palm continuously, killing 7 RO8 sea beasts. There are too many sea beasts. If this continues, it'll be very difficult to break through. Lu Ming frowned. He would be in danger if he was targeted by the powerful Void Emperor or even RHE True Emperor. After all, during the battle in the Demonic Sea, Lu Ming had controlled the Celestial Thearch's body to fight against 2 great emperors. There was not much energy left in RHE Celestial the Arch's body. He could no longer control it if it was less than 10%. Without a Celestial Emperor corporeal body, he could only rely on himself to charge through. Into the sea. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He plunged into the sea and swam toward the depths of the sea. As RHE saying goes, RHE most dangerous place is the safest place. Those sea beasts were either on RHE surface of the sea or in the air, chasing after humans and divine beasts. Their power in the sea would definitely be much weaker. As expected, after Lu Ming entered the sea, he realized that there were fewer sea beasts. Most of the sea beasts' eyes were on the surface. Lu Ming swam forward rapidly. However, just because there were few sea beasts did not mean that there were none. There were still sea beasts that had their eyes on Lu Ming and were charging at him. Chapter 2077, Shenshao Sect? Chapter 2077, Shenshao Sect. Lu Ming pointed his fingers a few times in a row, shooting out finger forces and killing a few sea beasts. However, Lu Ming's combat strength had finally attracted the attention of a powerful sea beast. It was a seal the size of a mountain, and it pounced at Lu Ming. It's equivalent to a 2-star Void Emperor. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly when he sensed the aura of the other party. However, he was not afraid at all. He rushed towards the seal and used the Chaos Divine Palm. His palm turned gray and misty, containing the power of 4 types of laws. Bang! Lu Ming's palm landed on one of the seal's claws. The seal's body trembled and its claws were split open by Lu Ming. Blood flowed out continuously as its huge body was forced to retreat. The seal was extremely shocked. It was a 2-star illusionary emperor. In the sea, it had immense strength and combat strength. However, it was not Lu Ming's match and was injured by Lu Ming's palm. Lu Ming's aura was not at the Martial Emperor realm yet, but he had such powerful combat strength, which shocked him. Buzz! Lu Ming did not linger in the battle. He dashed forward and swam forward. The seal did not dare to pursue him. After that, Lu Ming continued to kill a few more sea beasts and gradually left the battlefield. At this moment, Lu Ming noticed that there was a young man following behind him. The sea water churned as a few emperor-to-be sea beasts chased after the young man. The young man waved his hands and a few figures appeared beside him. A puppet. Lu Ming's eyes swept across the room and realized that the few figures beside the young man were puppets. They were human-shaped puppets that looked like real people, and they all carried a sword like this on their backs. However, there was no life force on its body. Therefore, Lu Ming could tell at a glance that it was a puppet. A few puppets rushed out and fought with the sea beasts. The puppet's body was fearless of death and pain. Its combat strength was amazing. It suppressed the sea beasts and killed them in a few moves. What a wondrous puppet art! Lu Ming was a little shocked. That was because those puppets actually knew the art of divine power and could control the power of laws. It was truly unbelievable. Lu Ming knew a little about the puppet technique. When his cultivation level was still weak, he had studied puppetry in the divine wilderness continent. At that time, his puppetry skills were not low. However, this young man's puppetry was many times more brilliant than his. I've never heard of any power that specializes in puppeteering in the Yuan Mountain. Could it be that this person isn't someone from the Yuan Mountain? Lu Ming had an idea in his mind and he continued to move forward. However, he realized that the young man was following behind him. Lu Ming frowned slightly. What made Lu Ming frown even more was that not long after, a few more sea beasts came after him. To be more precise, they were not chasing Lu Ming but the young man. The young man controlled the puppet and killed a few sea beasts before following Lu Ming. Lu Ming frowned and stopped. When the young man approached, he said coldly, "This brother, why have you been following me? Brother, can you do us a favor? We can leave this sea area together." The young man cupped his fists and said. The young man was dressed in a yellow robe and was quite handsome. He didn't give off an overbearing feeling and was very polite. "Why should I help you?" Lu Ming said with a sullen face. He didn't know the other party, so why would he help him? "Brother, to tell you the truth, I'm in the divine land, a disciple of the divine puppet sect. The divine puppet sect is named after puppets. If you help me, I can give you a rare flying puppet. Its speed is amazing, and it can reach a speed of 100 times that of the space-breaking shuttle." After the young man finished speaking, he waved his hand, and a puppet that looked like an eagle appeared. It can reach 100 times the speed of a flying shuttle. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This kind of puppet was definitely rare and very valuable. It was most suitable for transportation. To be honest, Lu Ming was a little tempted. The land of divine destiny, Shinshi sect? To be honest, I'm very interested in your puppetry. Lu Ming's eyes turned and he smiled. He was indeed very interested in the other party's puppetry technique. The puppets he refined could actually display nomological laws. If he could master it, it would be of great help at critical moments. "Brother, do you want to learn the art of puppetry?" "Sure, as long as we reach the divine fated land, you can follow me to the divine vulture sect to learn. One can also pass on some secret puppet techniques to you." The young man said. "Shinshao sect's puppetry technique is willing to be taught to outsiders?" Lu Ming was suspicious. "Brother, you might not know this, but the Shinshue sect is not a sect in the traditional sense. The Shinshue sect is formed by many powerhouses who are proficient in puppetry. The purpose is to attract more people who are proficient in puppetry to join. Therefore, in the Shinshao sect, everyone is encouraged to exchange the Tao of puppets and various secret techniques with each other. It is not forbidden to spread it," the yellow-robed young man explained. The yellow-robed young man tossed a jade talisman to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and scanned it with his spiritual senses. He found that there were indeed many secret skills related to puppets. "Why didn't you find someone else? Why did you have to find me?" Lu Ming asked casually. "It's because your combat strength is strong. You're not even a martial supreme, but you've injured a 2-star illusionary divine seal with one move. This level of combat strength is really incredible. I didn't expect that there would be a heaven's favorite like you in the Yuan Mountain." The yellow-robed young man's eyes were filled with surprise. Previously, when he saw Lu Ming's combat strength, he was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. "Then he'll take this puppet as well." Lu Ming waved his hand and put away the goshawk puppet. The yellow-robed young man was overjoyed. Lu Ming had accepted the puppet, which meant that he had agreed to help him. Then, The two of them walked forward. Lu Ming found out that the yellow-robed young man was called Di Kai. It was obvious that he was also a heaven's favorite. He had a king's body, and the laws he controlled were the laws of craftsmanship. Artifact Dao laws were also a type of King Dao laws, and they were on par with Array Dao laws. The law of craftsmanship could control all the weapons in the world and was much more superior than the law of weapons of the Wan family. The weapon law could only control metallic weapons, but the law of craftsmanship could control any weapon. However, not long after the two of them advanced, a few more sea beasts chased after them, and they were easily dealt with by the two of them. However, after traveling for a while, they encountered sea beasts again. This made Lu Ming frown. They had already left the battlefield. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be so many sea beasts chasing after them. However, the fact was that there were sea beasts constantly chasing after them, as if they had locked onto them. A huge sea lion roared and broke through the water with a shocking aura. A one-star illusionary emperor-level sea beast. Chi Kai's face was a little pale. Lu Ming rushed forward and fought with the sea lion. In just a few moves, the one-star illusionary emperor sea lion was split open by Lu Ming's palm and died an unnatural death. Brother Lu's combat strength is truly shocking. Seeing Lu Ming kill a one-star illusionary emperor sea lion with just a few moves with his own eyes, Di Kai's heart was in turmoil, and he could not calm down. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.